cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of Joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know. Good morning. Get in here and grab a cup of joe. Let's talk about some goings on and anything you know.
Good evening, everyone. Contrary to my intro song, I mean, it's morning for somebody somewhere.
I'm like posting in the chat. I'm like, is that a new song? Is that a new song? But it's the same lyrics, but just a different vibe. But I like
there's a slight twist to the lyrics, just slight, more than just morning, evening. But yeah,
right. Yeah, I like it. You know me. I like my blues, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep, I dig it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, wow. What a day, as always. Just when you think it's going to be a typical day in Loriland, of course, it's never is.
No, it's not. And we're going to do a day 3 recap that just it never ends with her. Like there's always something, and it's not always just her. I mean, there are other things that come in, but
yeah. Now, before we get started, I would be remiss if we didn't. We said this multiple times in our chat, and I'll drop it in here too, and I'll drop it in your chat today. 5 years ago, Tylee and JJ were found. So,
yep.
How was that today?
Not a lot of people recognized it. And really talked much about it. There was a different crowd in there today, and there was a different energy to it. So the people who are regulars there kind of were in their own little cliques, and they were talking about it some, but for the most part, it was like a circus atmosphere with the crowd today. Her antics last week sparked so many of the casual trial watchers' interest that it was packed and people were turned away. And
I think you posted that, right? I think that was one of your posts. Yeah, you were pretty active today. So good for that.
Yeah, I've got a new groove. Joe got his new groove on. So I've figured out how to be efficient, and it kind of came out of necessity today, because what I've been doing is this trial, I've switched to doing trial updates on X, but then I'm also taking jury notes by hand with my notebook. Well, the gallery was packed today, so they let members of the public sit back with members of the media. So I was surrounded on all sides. So I didn't have that room, that extra seat next to me that I had to put my notebook on and be able to reach over and grab it. So
sure,
I came up with a solution. I used my notepad app on my computer. So I had that open and I had X open, and I would alt tab between them. And that was like, I took really good jury notes. I took really good trial notes. I mean, that's the way to go from now on. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that's good. That's good that you found that. Good for you. Because yeah, I was looking at I was on your feed all day, and I was happy that you were posting, and I was utilizing that to tell our chat, hey, Joe's saying this. I don't give spoilers away, but why, the delay this, the delay that, we're breaking for lunch here, that kind of stuff. So appreciate that.
Of course. And it helps because you guys are a half hour behind, and so you don't know when we're going to go back into court, like we started out with a delay. So if I tweet that out, then you guys can know what time, and I try to put timestamps on there for a lot of that, the major events, like when a new witness comes, when we come back from break, when we go to break. So you guys can keep an eye out and be ready for that.
It was brilliant. Yeah, 10:14 your time. You're like, jury comes in, and then 10:15 Lori starts. I'm like, okay, 10:15. That's 1:15, but we have a half hour delay, so it's going to be 1:45. So it was really, it helped enormously. So thank you for that.
Good deal. So today is day 3 trial recap.
Yes,
with Joe Schmo and Trial TV Live. My co-host, the Squeegee of Justice. Welcome in.
Hey guys, thank you. Good to see you as always, Joe. Thank you for doing the dual stream with us. Thank you for being in the courtroom. Thank you for posting on Twitter, on X. It's all great. And I always miss your lunchtime. Did you do a lunchtime live today?
I did, and I tried to wait a half an hour, and I think I came close. But if anybody's more than half an hour behind, then they're not done watching what I'm going to start talking about. So I don't blame anybody for that.
Yeah. So sorry for that. I tend to miss those because I do my recap, and that's 20 minutes, half hour.
Right.
I have like you, what you're experiencing, but you're there, I'm here. I'm like, okay, I have like half an hour to grab food and eat and, take care of the cats and just get some fresh air for 5 minutes. So I should, what I need. Yeah. Anyway, that's just excuses. I need to support you more with that. So I will in the future.
It's almost impossible to do, though. Between your recaps after every session, that's almost impossible to do. But you can always watch it on replay.
Exactly. All right. So shall we dive in? Tell us. So it was crowded. It was Tylee and JJ's anniversary. It was crowded.
Yeah, and being crowded, I don't think had anything to do with JJ and Tylee's anniversary. I really don't. But yeah, JJ and Tylee were found 5 years ago today in shallow graves in Chad Daybell's backyard in Rexburg, Idaho. And we had a lot of Rexburg connections today that we saw on the stand. We didn't get to see Detective Hermosillo. I thought maybe we would, but we had a lot of that.
He is on. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I was honestly, I was kind of hoping he would be up there today, but she flew in other witnesses first that were coming from out of state. So,
right.
So yeah, it was crowded. It wasn't crowded right off the bat. I mean, the line was a little bit longer than it was yesterday at the same time, but it filled in fast before the doors opened. I mean, there were a lot of people in line before the doors opened, and there were a couple of people that were there for their other cases that weren't there to trial watch Lori's trial, and they're standing at the door, and they go and try the door. The door's not unlocked before 7:30. So I'm standing right there, and I'm like, doors don't open till exactly 7:30. I'm like, are you here for Lori Daybell? And they're like, who? And I'm like, see all those people lined up behind me? Yeah, all those people are here for that. And they're like, oh my gosh.
Did you have a chance to ask them like why they're there or where are they from?
I didn't this morning. I usually try and do that when you go in the doors at 7:30, you go through security, you go upstairs, and today's start wasn't until 10:30. So we got, almost 3 hours to kill. Right. So I'm working away on my laptop. I'm doing research. I'm working on other projects for other things. And I get up to go to the bathroom, and there's a courtroom right across from us. And there's an attorney that's standing, those doors are right next to the men's room doors. So I'm like, aren't you glad this isn't your case? And he goes, what case? And I was like, that's Lori Vallow Daybell. And he goes, who?
Oh no. Was he kidding or was he serious?
No, he was serious.
Wow.
He was absolutely 100% serious.
Wow. I guess we just expect everybody to know who Lori is, just like
Right.
Karen. You say Karen or KR, everybody's like, oh yeah, Karen Reed. But no, there's probably a large percentage of people out there that don't know, don't care. We're in, because we're swimming in it. So of course we know. But yeah,
Exactly. And it just blows our mind when somebody doesn't know about the case.
right. It's like saying a sports figure or a politician or a whatever race car
Right.
driver. You don't follow it. You're like, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. You don't know who
Yeah.
Donald Trump is? What?
Or a musician or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
welcome in, chat. Thanks everybody for joining us. If you have a question, be sure and put those big old question marks by it, or QQQ or something, and we'll star those and we'll go over those later so we can kind of be a little more smooth in how we go through this. But thanks for joining us. So yeah, we get let in. So the media gets let in first. Always, we sit in the back row. So we have 15 seats, and there were like 8 of us today. So there's 15 minus 6 is 9. So there are 9 of us. And so there's 3 empty seats on the left. There's 3 empty seats on the right. And they fill in the rest of the gallery with the public. And then they go, okay, we're going to seat the public with the media. So they filled in all of the empty seats in the morning session. Every single seat was taken. And there were a bunch of new people there. The people that sat next to me were literally like the last 3 people to get in. So I asked him, I'm like, were there other people waiting to get in? And he said, yeah, there's like at least 10 other people that are not going to get in for this session, for this morning session. So that's unusual. That's like as many people as were ever turned away in the first trial.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So her antics last week and that thing going viral with her and the judge, like interested a lot of people in coming into trial watch today. But
yeah, it's interesting how that happens. I guess you would call them, you consider them casual trial watchers.
Oh, absolutely. Because we went to start a new session after lunch. So you have all new seats after lunch, and there was 1 empty seat, and that happened to be next to me, and I was grateful for that 1 extra seat. But so nobody was turned away after lunch. So that means there's, a dozen people that didn't come back after lunch. And then, we had our afternoon break, 2:30, 2:45-ish. And we came back from that, and there were a bunch of empty seats from people that didn't come back for the last session.
Gotcha.
So yes, they were casual trial watchers today. And the guy next to me, when Lori went to come in, so you can hear that door click of the deadbolt opening up on that side door where she comes in. He sat forward in a seat like this, like he's getting ready to see something really exciting. And
right.
The gal sitting, so Nate was sitting immediately to my right, Nate Eden, and the gal in front of him to his right, who was on the end, got out her phone and started to take a picture of Lori.
Oh no!
And she would have got kicked out of court if they were paying any attention. And Nate like taps her on the shoulder, and he's like, better not do that unless you want to get kicked out.
Do the old finger wag. Yeah, exactly. Well, she would have found out. She would have effed around and found out very quickly.
Yes, exactly. Hey, Salty, good to see you, my friend, my OG
Salty.
friend.
Here you are. All right, Salty. I always love when you guys do streams together.
Oh my gosh, that 5-hour stream we did Saturday morning was amazing. Like I had no idea when we got on there. So we were doing a weekly recap of the whole week, and I had no idea it was going to go 5 hours, but it was a good 5 hours.
I'm glad you did, because I caught it like 40 minutes in, I think. And then I hung with you for about an hour. Then I went outside. I did some yard work and I was listening then, but mower was kind of hard to hear. Then I came back in, showered, and I think you were still going. Then I started to do some food prep and you were still going. So
right.
it was awesome. I loved it.
Okay. So we get let in, and then there's a little thing beforehand about her taking witnesses out of order. Lori doesn't have any objection to it this time. So they call Danny Moss, who's the guy that owns the window tinting place up at Hope. Hello.
I have a question straight away. There was a sidebar straight away, and then he dismissed you guys for like 45 minutes.
Oh, did I skip that part?
You skipped right.
Because I'm looking at the wrong notes. That's why.
Okay.
I was looking at my
Okay.
jury notes, and I'm like, oop, oop.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
There we go. Okay, I'm back on
Yeah.
track.
Unless you want to save that for later. I don't know. You want to bury the
No,
lead?
no. It's the weirdest thing that's happened in the trial as far as clearing out the gallery like that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we get seated, and Lori comes in, and the guy next to me is like, "Oh, look at that! Look at her!" And then as soon as she comes in, like within 30 seconds, the judge comes in, all rise, you may be seated. And he's really quick with that. Like sometimes I don't even have time because I've got my laptop with me and I've got to adjust my feet and I've got to stand up with my laptop. I don't even have time to get up. And he's already saying you may be seated.
Right.
But yeah, he's super quick with it. But then he goes, okay, we're going to have a sidebar. And we're like, okay, sidebar. So Lori goes up, her advisory council, both of her advisory council go up. Trina K goes up, and a representative of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office goes up, and he's the one that presented her health stuff on Wednesday morning that said that she is plenty fine to proceed. There were rumors that there was a health thing going on this morning that may interrupt proceedings. But also, if you remember Wednesday morning, there was something that could potentially be considered, personal information of hers that we all got to hear because we were in there for that. So we heard him say the word quarantine and the internet blew up.
Oh.
And then the sheriff said we treated an issue, but otherwise we didn't find any clinical issues that would prevent her from coming to court. And I'm just wondering if they went through the same thing again this time, except it lasted a lot longer. I mean, it was well after 11 o'clock, I think like 7 minutes after 11 o'clock. No, 11:14. So we get seated at 11:12. The jury comes in at 11:14 after that sidebar. So that was a lengthy sidebar.
Yeah. About 45 minutes. I figured roughly.
Yeah.
Right. 10:30 to 11:15. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Right. At least a half an hour. At least a half an hour.
She was definitely hacking and coughing.
Was she? I didn't pick that up.
Yeah. Guys, the chat, for those that were watching, I know I heard a lot of coughing. I know our chat was talking about it. So I don't think she did it when she was talking. She was doing it when she was at the table, at her table.
Okay. So you picked up some hot mic coughing.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So then the Judge Bresky comes back and he said he had an issue to resolve, but don't speculate. It's no one's fault. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Trying to keep the jury from being prejudiced against her, for making them sit and wait in the jury room extra long.
Yeah.
Then we take the out of order witness, Daniel Moss, because we ended on Friday with Gilbert PD Detective Ryan Pillar. And so we were supposed to finish direct of his, but she's flying in witnesses from out of state. Obviously, Danny is from out of state. Danny Moss is from out of state because he owns a window tinting business in Rexburg. And we see interior photos of him working on the Jeep. We see receipts. We see phone receipts. We see the phone text messages asking for an appointment, telling him we have an appointment. And then we see the picture of him working on the Jeep. And then we see pictures of the license plate, and he's trying to get the license plate on his security camera, but it's kind of blurry. So we really don't get a clear image of that license plate ever.
Yeah.
But we do get a text message from a 480 number. So the original text messages were from 480, and then he texted him a receipt for $200 for adding 5% tint to the back window and 20% tint to the front windows. And we get an objection from Lori in there because Trina K says, so when you add that 5% to the back windows, could you see a person laying down on the back? And Lori actually, I think, has a good objection here. Objection speculation.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He hasn't been entered as a window tinting expert. He is a window tinting installer. So he's been invited to come and testify about the interactions and the installation of that. But to ask him whether or not you can see a person in the back seat or laying down in the back of a Jeep after adding 5% tint, I think is a little bit of a stretch, but the judge allows it.
Yeah.
So $200 is cheap for that, though. That is like super cheap.
Is it?
Although,
I don't know.
well, when I got my Jeep tinted, first of all, I have a 4-door. I have a JKU, but I didn't add any tint to the back windows because they're already fairly dark. I just wanted ceramic tinting on the front sides and the windshield to reflect the heat out. Ceramic tinting keeps the heat out. So it was a lot more expensive than that, but it was also ceramic. He probably went with the base level, like the cheapest he could get, that added 5% in the back and 20% in the front. Let's see. And then it was a very short direct examination, and there's no questions from lawyer or the jury for him.
Yeah, no, and he didn't see the person who picked it up or dropped it off. That was the other big thing.
I missed that part. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the only contact he had was through the, I guess the
text.
Text, yeah. So he didn't see the person pick it up, and he did not pick it up, drop it off, or pick it up. So I'm not sure who made contact with that, but he did not.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then we get 11:32 a.m. We get Special Agent from the DEA, Thomas Miller, who is the chief of the National License Plate Reader Program, which is a pretty cool title. Yeah.
I thought so too. He seemed nervous, right? Was this the guy? He seemed nervous for being so high up. Did he seem nervous to you?
It's hard for me to judge from way back in the back of the courtroom. It really is, because you guys have such an advantage because you can hear clearly when the microphone picks something up. You get to hear it so much more clearly than we do, and you can see the witness close up because of the TV camera. So I'm all the way in the back, and it's hard for me to judge that aside from like excessive body mannerisms.
You need the opera glasses,
right? That'd be that would I gotta do that. Like now I have an Amazon search to do after we're done. Overnight delivery. Oh my goodness.
So he did seem nervous to us, but for being so high up, and he seemed like he was probably in his 50s, I would think he would have testified. But anyway, he did seem a little nervous.
Okay. He did a pretty good job of explaining the license plate reader program and their diesel program, and how all of their cameras that are tied into diesel, when they pick up a license plate that they're looking for, will take a photo of it and send in some type of data. He said, he said an XML style format or something like that. So that's the one that caught the Jeep Wrangler license plate going through Holbrook, eastbound towards Phoenix on October 1st at what was that, 8:22 6:22 in the morning.
I got 6:52 Mountain, 5:52 Arizona, so
right.
Pacific time, I guess. Yeah.
There you go. So
no wheel on the back of the Jeep. That's
yes.
jumped out. That was jumped out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I have October 1st, 2019, 5:52 a.m. There we go.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say about that, and it just slipped my mind. So then that was a pretty short direct examination too, and Lori does a little bit of cross. She gets into how many cameras do you have in Mesa and Gilbert, and this is the same line of questioning she takes up with Detective Pillar later on. In all of your cameras, do you have any other sightings of the Jeep? And he says no. And she wants to know if he has a camera on Gilbert Road and some other intersection. He's like, I have no idea. Like he knows where every single camera is. But then he did on redirect well, she did say, and then you don't have any pictures on October 2nd or October 3rd either. And he said no. And for some reason, she wants to know if he knows how far it is between Holbrook and Gilbert. And she asked it of Pillar too. And no, I have no idea.
Right. Well, she said what the distance was, like 100 some odd miles. And then she asked, that only takes like 3 hours. Those were both objected to.
Right.
So ultimately that did not. Now, did you hear, because you just said earlier about you don't quite hear some of the nuances. Did you hear her say, or Miller said, there's ways, one of the ways to get around these readers is you can defeat them. And she said, oh, there's ways to defeat them. Do you remember that little exchange?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he said, yes. Did you hear what she said after that? Were you able to pick that up?
I missed that. No.
Yeah. She goes, interesting. And Trina objected to that. And Judge Bresky said jury would disregard that last sound. And then Lori laughed. Lori actually, like, she kind of chuckled underneath her breath.
She's something else.
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah.
So then we go to redirect. It's a really brief redirect, 7 minutes long. The main question I got from redirect was Trina K asked him, just because there may be a license plate reader on Gilbert Road, does that mean it's a part of the national program? Does that mean it feeds its results back to Diesel? And he said, no, there are lots of programs out there, and some are run by public agencies that have no connection to us, and some are run by, I think later Pillar said some of them are run by private organizations too, but same thought, same idea.
Yeah. That's more than I got out of it. They try to target the drug corridor. So that explains why Gilbert didn't have a reader back then. So,
right.
Because basically they set up these readers for drug enforcement. That's what that was the main takeaway for me.
Hold on.
Did you catch that or no?
Hold on. Okay. I had a Journey to Justice says it was 6 years ago. No, it was June 9th, 2020. That's 5 years ago. Just correcting a little misinformation in chat. June 9th, 2020, they were found in Rexburg. Anyway, say that again.
These readers were set up for drug enforcement.
Yes, that's why it's a DEA agent or a DEA chief that's testifying.
Yeah, so there was no drug corridor. He said they tried to target drug corridors, so that explains why there was no reader around or in Gilbert. So I guess Gilbert is not considered, well, at least back then, was not considered.
Oh my gosh, Zach. Oh. That Jeep is an unusual color though. Like it's green,
the photos that they were showing, I'm like, I do not see, but then I Googled it and it is a weird, it's almost like a mint. I don't even know. Can I present this? Can we have time to do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see if I can do that. How do I do
somebody sent me some in email too, but they sent me so many, it's going to take me like.
All right. Here, I got it. I can do present. Okay. So now this is probably, all right, if you could pull that up, that's a Rubicon. Now, what color is that? Because sometimes the photos looked gray, sometimes they looked
like mint green. Like this almost looks mint green.
Yeah, it's like it's almost, yeah. And then I have another one. Let me see.
So she's so intent on asking them about how the color changed, how Brandon called it green to start with and puke green.
Yeah.
And then it changed to gray.
I just put another color. I just put another one in there, which is just kind of a different angle, but it's like how would you just, I guess you would, is that puke green? I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely not dark green though.
No. And people saw dark colors, the dark color,
yes.
Dark blue even. Yeah, I don't get that. I guess gray, I think Northwest was saying could be gunmetal gray. I guess in certain light.
That's not gunmetal gray. My brother actually has a Jeep that's gunmetal gray, and it's
It's
way
not.
different than that.
It's darker, right? Would it be darker?
Yes.
Is it darker
Yes.
gray? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So thank you for pulling that up. If that was you or Dizzy, appreciate that. So, okay.
Let's. Gosh. I have pictures
oil
of the
gray.
Jeep in my email. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, pull those up.
It's gonna. Uh oh. Oh no, we lost the squeegee. Dizzy, did you boot squeegee? Come back, squeegee. All right, we're gonna fix this. I'm looking in my email right now because somebody emailed me pictures of Tylee's Jeep, and I didn't even save them, but I bet I could pull it up pretty quickly. Nope. I did a search for Jeep and it did not come back with any results. Good golly, Miss Molly. All right. Got to find the link all over again, bring Squeegee back in. Thanks, everybody, for coming in and commenting, for your super chats and your questions. There we go. Bloop.
Boop.
Bloop.
Boop. I took the portal.
Yes, the portal sucked you in and turned you around and spit you back out.
Exactly. All right. I'm back. Okay.
Well, while we're going through some of this and while we're watching, we have some clips pulled up to watch. So while we're watching those, I'm going to see if I can find those pictures of the Jeep in my email. In the meantime, so that's all I have on redirect before we go to lunch. What do you have?
Let's see. Redirect. No, just the drug corridor. There was a sidebar. Then Lori comes back. Well, no, there's a sidebar. So she has her headphones on and she took her headphones off and there was intense feedback. And the judge is like, you have to make sure that you don't put the headphone near the mic. And then, then they broke. So that was like it was pretty strong feedback, which I'm sure you didn't hear, but
no, we did. We heard it in the courtroom too. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we did.
Yeah.
Everybody got that one.
Yeah. It's like, come on, Lori. Do you think she does that deliberately or no? Do you think she's just.
I don't think it was her. I think it was Abernathy. Because
okay.
Abernathy comes in and comes up and he sets something down and then the feedback goes and then he moves it quickly off of his desk.
Okay.
So
all right.
You guys probably didn't get to see that.
No, we didn't. Yeah. They're mostly focused on Lori and Trina, they kind of generally keep between those two. But here we were blaming Lori. So.
All right. So let me get to some jury notes real quick.
Sure.
Because I did take some jury notes during this. So when Danny Moss was on, the jury is pretty much baseline. No response, no change in behaviors. Juror 9 is his usual self over there in the corner fiddling. Oh, so get this, before the jury ever comes in. So I didn't know this until this very morning. The jury chairs can swivel. They're swivel chairs.
Okay.
So we come in first thing in the morning, like before we had that delay, and I look over in the jury box with no jurors, just their chairs, and Juror 9's chair is turned sideways facing the gallery. And that's hilarious because he's looking into the gallery a lot, and he did again today too. And there were a couple of points in time when he was staring. So immediately to the left of the jury is the families. The families sit there in those first two rows on that side.
Okay.
And he engaged in long looks over in that direction, like 4, 5, 6 seconds at a time at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if there's like a hot family member that's sitting over there or something that's like distracting him.
Wow. Well, actually, that leads me to my question about who was in the gallery. I think I saw Kay. Pretty sure I saw Kay.
Yes, Kay was there. Brandon was there.
Yeah.
I think Brandon was there. Good grief, am I mixing up my days?
No, Brandon.
Today.
Brandon was there, yeah, and Jenny. Yeah,
Yeah.
his wife. They were
Yes.
both
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The days all run together after you've been to so many of these trials.
Yeah. Is anybody on Lori's side? Like, we were kind of asking that. Like, is her sister?
Yeah. No,
Mom?
not her sister. No family members are on her side. You
Okay.
know who sat on her side today? A bunch of interns and externs, legal interns and externs.
Okay.
They sat them. They were coming for trial watching today too.
Mm-hmm.
And there must be some kind of a law class out there somewhere where they're like, hey, come sign up to go watch the Lori Daybell trial, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll pick 6 or 7 of you, or 8. And they ended up picking 8. And so they had to set a little folding chair at the end of it for the morning session. But that's who was sitting in Lori's family section today, but no actual family members. No.
Okay. And no Colby. Colby hasn't. He hasn't been there yet.
I have not seen Colby. No.
Yeah. Oh, and here we go. Elizabeth says Colby will be in court tomorrow.
All right.
Have you ever met him? Have you ever met Colby?
Met? No.
No.
Just I've sat behind him for the first trial a couple of times, and when Kay sat next to him and we got up to leave one day, I had a little brief chat with Kay, like 5 seconds. And he was there, but no, I have not met him.
Right. So Sure Life is wondering what side he'll sit on for Charles's trial. Did he sat on state side?
Oh, he's on the family side. Absolutely. Yeah. He sat right next to Kay. He will again, maybe not right next to Kay, but he'll be on the prosecution side for sure.
Right. Right.
All right. So then we go to lunch, and we come back from lunch, and Dizzy has a video to play from when we come back from lunch that has some interesting things from that. Trina Kay said something interesting when we get back from lunch. So we got to listen closely.
Okay.
All right, do you have your next witness here?
I do. She's going to be really out of order.
Okay.
So I will make an offer of proof. She created the DNA profile for Alexander Cox.
Who are we talking about?
It's Emmy Lynn Sapinoso.
Okay.
She no longer works for Mesa Police Department. She moved out to California. So she created the DNA profile for the known sample from Alexander Cox. Detective Pillar attended the autopsy and obtained the blood blot and impounded it himself. So
That's where the profile came from.
yes, so he will be testifying as to that later. Additionally, assuming we continue going, I also have Lisa.
Whoa. Okay. Assuming we will continue going. So some people are reading into that.
I totally missed that when it happened live.
Additionally,
Yeah. Assuming we will continue
assuming we
going.
continue going, I also have Lisa Perry, who
I wonder. So some people are reading into that.
I got the names, but sorry. Go ahead. Some people are reading into that.
Yeah, some people are reading into that, assuming we will continue going, that something may interrupt the trial when we get to that point, but I'm not necessarily interpreting it that way.
Right.
Assuming we will continue going. So she has several witnesses out of order. I wonder if it's related to that. I don't know. That's just an odd phrase to put. Assuming we will continue going out of order. I think that's what she means. I don't think she means anything about the trial being interrupted for some reason.
Yeah. I don't want to read. I don't want to read into that.
No.
But that was interesting. Yeah, I completely missed that. I was focused on the names that she was saying. I totally forgot, I didn't forget. I totally missed that when that happened.
Yeah. So anyway, that was
assuming
okay. You can keep playing, Dizzy.
continue going,
Keep playing.
I also have Lisa Perry, who took the cuttings from the swabs that were obtained from the Jeep up in Rexburg, Idaho. I will not have the DNA analyst here till after Detective Pillar is done testifying, but Lisa Perry, who just basically took the cuttings and stuck them into tubes so that Vanessa could do DNA profiles on them, is also here today. So my hope was to, out of order, Paul, Emilyn Sapinosa, Lisa Perry, and then I have Officer Marianne Robb.
Yeah, I think now that I hear that and we're talking about it, to me, it seems like she was just referring to the out of order, assuming that we're going to continue going out of order. It seems.
And
like
actually, Dizzy, I think you can continue with that because I want to hear, I'm pretty sure that Lori objects to something in there and the judge just kind of plows over her. So I'd actually like
She
to
did.
keep that video just until we start calling the witnesses, and then we'll.
Yeah, judge asks her a statement from the defense, and yes, so if you want to play that, she definitely she objected.
Dizzy, hello. There we go. Thank you. Dizzy's great. Everybody give Dizzy a round of applause because she's amazing.
Oh,
She's
absolutely.
super hard.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful.
Shout out to Dizzy. Thank you, Dizzy, for everything that you do. For sure.
Request that to be done.
All right.
So we will just discuss the impound numbers
Okay.
and what the swabs are.
All right. Is there any record the defendant wants to make? Sure. Do you want, are they lined up or, okay.
So did we pass over the objection?
No, she's talking to counsel there, and then she comes back, and it's still to come.
Okay.
Because she's conferring with counsel, and then she comes back and basically regurgitates what was told to her.
According to Tammy Lachek's report, she is the one that took the blood blot from Alex Cox. So we're going to just have our same objection to the Crawford that it's missing because she's not here to testify against it, about it. If Detective Pillar did witness that, I understand that, but it's not the same thing as her telling us how she did it, when she did it, why she did it, how that was processed.
Okay. The evidence, as I understand it, or the testimony as I understand it, is that Emilyn Sapinosa was simply going to testify that she received a clot, a sample of blood or a blood clot, and then created the profile. Okay, so not to put the cart before the horse, but that's all she's testifying to at this point. So I understand your objection. I don't think we're to that point because they're not admitting it into evidence yet. So anything else?
Just that, is that not confusing to the jury to do it that
It could
out
be a
of
little.
order?
It could be a little confusing in that it's not a linear presentation of how things happened, but the state isn't required to call the witnesses in that that type of sequence if they're not able to. So
Your Honor, obviously, because we started 2 days late last week.
This is great.
Due to the defendant, it did throw the state's case off. We would have already had Detective Pillar already testifying and done before today. So
Okay.
we're doing what we can with what we got.
all right, let's bring the jury in.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, I love that. I love that part. Trina's like, well, due to the defendant screwing us up for 2 days, we're doing the
Right.
best we can. Every chance she gets, Miss K always bazingas back. Lori.
Just-
I
right.
love it.
She does. Let's see. So we get the DNA forensic scientists up now, back to back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so I took my yawn medication over the weekend. I got a really good nap in after the 5-hour live with Salty. I took a 5-hour nap. It was
Wow.
so good. It
Wow.
was so good. But Juror 5 was yawning again today.
Did it spread around the courtroom?
No, I didn't see anybody else, and it didn't get me because I was vaccinated. But not so much in the morning. I do have one note in the morning session from him yawning, but he did several times, especially towards the end of the day. Anyway, the DNA witness, forensic scientists. Come on, scroll down. Here we go. So Emilyn Sapinosa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that wrong on Twitter. That's great.
All right.
She's now in Orange County, California. She was with Mesa back then. Qualified. I like how fast Trina leads them through their curriculum vitae, or however you say it, their CV, with their experience, their education, and all of that stuff. We don't have to spend a half an hour on it, guys. We can spend 5 minutes, and that's sufficient.
Yeah.
And Karen Reed, it takes a half an hour for them to go through their CV, and it's just, it's mind numbing.
Yep. Yep. I've talked to, Baker had me on for Christmas thing last year. And we talked about that, like the way they do it there. It's like, you don't go through a half hour of going through their CV. It's like, you're an expert. We all agree you're an expert. Just continue on, which I think is brilliant. I mean, sometimes I like to hear the background, but other times I'm like, I usually zone out when I hear some background. So
yeah, when I hear too much background.
Yeah. Yep. You're qualified. Got it. Move on.
Right. You wouldn't be, although there was the one guy with Aperture and Karen Reed who had a CV that was not accurate.
Was not. That is true.
But he was with a private company. He wasn't with a law enforcement. So you would assume that if you have that job as a forensic scientist with an agency, that you're probably qualified.
Right.
And if the defense doesn't object to you as an expert witness, then you're fine. So basically, she just got the swabs. Emilyn got the swabs and processed them.
Yep.
For
blood blot.
Yep.
Blood blot.
No, Emilyn was the swabs from the Jeep. The DNA swabs from the Jeep: steering wheel, seatbelts, door handles, lug nuts.
No, I have that as Lisa. I have that as Lisa Perry.
Maybe I got them out of order.
I have Emmy as she collected the DNA from Alex it was the blood blot.
Oh, yes. Okay. Right.
And it was Lisa Perry that did all the steering wheel and all.
Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what I did. When I came back from lunch, my internet was screwed up. And so when I went into Twitter, by the time I got to taking notes, we were already to the next witness because they went so fast. These two witnesses went so fast.
They did. I've got three lines for Emmy, and I've got 3 lines for Lisa. Yeah, pretty quick.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, that they took the evidence that they got from somebody else and they processed it. Mm-hmm. That's basically it. The DNA and then the blood clot.
Yep.
And then we hear from Gilbert PD Officer Rob. Now we know how to spell it. And I had it on my witness list before. I knew how to spell before. I was just not thinking that. Just go look at your witness list and you'll know how to spell ROBB, Marianne Robb.
Yes.
And her haircut looks the exact same as it did back in when she responded. So she was one of the officers that responded to Charles's call from the hotel.
Yep.
Same one that responded to this call for Brandon Boudreaux. And we see her on the other body worn cam from Charles's call, but I don't know that we see her maybe we see her from body worn cam from the second officer that responded. We heard his name today, but I don't know that I've seen his body worn cam.
I haven't seen it. I've only seen hers.
Right.
Yeah.
She was a very animated witness today, and her haircut is exactly the same as it was.
She was solid. Yeah, she was solid. I was impressed with her. You know, she was law enforcement. She was, very Very solid, very wasn't being shaken, was, answered, just solid. That's all I can keep saying. She was just a really solid witness.
Right. And she was the first officer to respond to the scene. So her body worn cam is pretty important.
Yep.
And she noticed the bullet hole in the door frame before he did. And then she pointed it out to him, and he was like, holy what? And he had to sit down, and he was visibly shaken, and his hands were shaking.
Right.
And then she goes through the description of what happened with the Jeep and the Jeep window. And we've all had questions about, how did that Jeep window open? How much did it open? Did it just like open up a crack and the barrel, came out underneath it? But she has a very vivid description of what happened with that Jeep window.
Did you ask Brandon to give you a description of the vehicle that he said shot at him?
Yes, I did.
What did he give you in terms of a description?
The description was a green, a kind of a darkish green Jeep Wrangler. And he said that as he was driving westbound on his street, Phelps, the back window of this Jeep just kind of flew open, and he noticed that there was a muzzle of some type of weapon that was pointing out at his vehicle. He thought maybe there was a silencer, but there was a very loud bang from that. After that happened, his window shattered, and he just got scared, so he just took off and went around the block, went westbound and around the block. Where this all took place is, he said that this green Jeep Wrangler was parked westbound, and if we can see that, it was on, that would be kind of the south side. It was parked on his side of the street, and it was pretty much face to face with that white minivan. So it was basically parked the wrong way on the roadway. And that's where it was parked there. It was pretty much, he said it was right up against the minivan. And that's when he saw the back window pop open. And that's when that gun pointed at him. And he heard a very loud bang, saw his window shatter. And then he, like I said, he just kept going westbound to the next street over, made a turn northbound on that street, and basically stopped. Because he just called 911 and got 911 on, they were talking 911.
Let me ask you a little bit about, did he tell you?
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. Yeah, but now, so I'm wondering if that Jeep window flew up, and that's the tinted window that got extra tint, got a plus 5%, flew up. How did he not see into the Jeep? How did he just see the barrel sticking out, and he didn't see the guy behind the gun?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was my question to you Friday, was like, how much can you just open that window just a little crack and stick the gun through? Or when you open it up, you were talking about the hydraulics and all that with the window. So can you open it up just a little bit, or does it open up all the way?
Well, the picture that we saw in Idaho, when they went to the impound lot in Idaho, was it was opened up all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that that's probably it's got the hydraulic lifts on it, where it'll just they're pneumatic lifts. They're air pressurized, so they'll keep on going all the way up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's broad daylight. It's in the morning. How does he not? I mean, he noticed the barrel, and I can understand when you're in shock and you see the barrel of something sticking out of the back of the Jeep. I get tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I get it, sometimes when I get in like adrenaline packed situations, I will get tunnel vision, and I will only be able to see one thing, and the rest of the world is just a blur to me. So
sure.
I can just imagine that's what.
All right. Here's a thought. So the Jeep is facing west. The sun is rising the sun would be rising behind.
No, the Jeep is facing east. So the sun is rising from where he's driving from.
Right. I thought she said he took off westbound, and the Jeep was facing west as well, with the back end facing east.
Which which means that the sun would have been coming in the back of the Jeep.
Right. So I was thinking maybe it was behind a house or a tree, but no, it was coming directly behind him.
Yep. All right, we got things to figure out.
Yeah.
We'll keep going down those rabbit holes because that's what we do.
Brandon, we have questions. With
And
Susie
then she said, yeah.
Been halfway inside.
So then she said the Jeep was dark green, back window flew open. She didn't expect to find a casing because it would have been ejected from the firearm inside the Jeep, or if it was, why did my mind just go blank for that type of firearm? I can see it in my head. Anyway, it would have been inside the Jeep. It wouldn't have come out. She's a Jeep owner herself, and she testified you have to open the tailgate to open the window. And we saw actually that they did that in Rexburg. They actually opened the tailgate to open the window because that spare tire was back on there. But if the spare tire is gone, she's, she didn't say it, but Trina kind of led her to it that you have to, if the spare tire is on, you can't open the window, is how Trina K put it. Right. So that explains why they took the spare tire off. And we're going to see that video at some point in this trial in the next couple of days, because Trina K is probably going to be done by Wednesday at the latest. So then Lori actually does a cross-examine of Officer Rob. She asked where Brandon was standing when she pulled up. What does that have to do with? So where Brandon was standing. So this has to do with the fact that maybe that piece of glass. So there's one shard of glass that was found in the street, and Lori is focused on that one shard of glass and how it got there, how it might have got there. Her usual questions. We get to what kind of trajectory did she come up with by sticking her pen through that hole? And she said it would have been upward and would have struck the vehicle about 1.5 inches to 2 inches above where his head would have been.
Yep. Which makes sense because of what we were talking about, the frame heights. It was 66 for the Jeep and 68 for the Tesla. But again, we don't know where they were. They were probably measuring from the top of the roof, I'm thinking.
Right. And she also mentioned later on the juror question about resting the rifle on some type of a thing. So if he's laying back there and he rests the barrel on the tailgate of the Jeep to keep it steady, and that's what I would have been doing, because that steadies your aim. Put the barrel of the rifle on something solid like the tailgate, and that tailgate is definitely lower than the door frame of the Tesla.
Right. So that makes sense that it would be shooting up.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she asked this question and answered it, because that clears up my mind about that trajectory, Rod, because we don't have any perspective in that photo we saw of it. And I was speculating maybe it's a downward trajectory, but she said it was an upward trajectory that she came to the conclusion of. So that was helpful to me, figuring all of that scene out. That answered a question in my mind.
Agreed. And while she was saying all this, it missed Brandon's head by like 1 inch or 2. I'm sure Brandon is like, wow, I literally dodged a bullet. Dodged a bullet, because that was a big bullet. That was a big hole in metal frame. Can you imagine what that would have done to his head? So he's one lucky man.
Speaking of that, Lori asked her, well, what size of a bullet would make that size of a hole? And she goes, I don't know for sure, but I guess a 30-06 might do it. She knows a little bit about guns. Just a little bit.
She said she's an avid hunter, I think, right? And of course, being a law enforcement, she's been around guns for 36 years or something like that.
Right. And then she tries to ask her a question about.
That's funny.
That could be Carrie. No, that could be. He could have put some kind of a restrictor on it to keep from going all the way up, just enough to.
Now, here's the question. Okay, so I guess you could see through the tint, so it could be like if it's this much of a window and he sticks the barrel through, but he's still looking through the tint, or did he open it up enough that he could see as well?
Right.
We'll never know, but yeah, it's just interesting.
Right. The way that Officer Rob described it is it flew up.
Yeah.
And she put her hands up like this.
Yeah.
Oh no, I just killed my camera.
Oh no, what'd you do? I can still see you.
Right. No. It's green now, so it's not going to follow me. I can go like this and it won't follow me. And you see all those people standing in line.
Yeah.
That's okay. So then Lori tries to get her to testify about the silencer, and she says, I've dealt with silencers on handguns, but never rifles, so I don't know how loud of a bang it would have made.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to ask her again, and then Judge and Trina K are both like, just move on. She doesn't know about silencers on rifles. And then her usual questions about how long she was at the scene, what her role was, that she talked to neighbors. She did say she talked to one neighbor, and Lori brings that up later. And it's almost opening the door for her to ask something, but she can't figure out how to ask it. So it gets shut down pretty quickly.
Right.
When she's talking to Detective Pillar. Did you enter the house or garage? No. Did you write a report from your notes? Yes. Is the neighbor that you talked to Samantha Raybach, I think?
She kept saying Baybach, but then eventually it was Raybach. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then she says, can I see my report to refresh my memory? Yes. And then she goes, did she tell you? So she's trying to get Officer Rob to testify about what the neighbor told her, and that's hearsay. So Trina K objects to it as hearsay, and the objection is sustained.
Right.
And then she tries to get back into the puke green color of the Jeep, and she doesn't really get anywhere with that. And then that's it for Cross. That's all I have for Cross.
I have a note that says, I see green, but not pukey. I thought that was funny. I think she said that.
Yes.
Right? And she's like, I thought that.
Yep.
Okay.
Pukey green. Yeah.
Right.
And
Tanya, I'm sure. No, wait, was it Tanya? Yeah, people have misperceptions. Silencer means the gun will not make noise. Yeah, it just muffles it. It's like, and I think with Zach, did you say it's like 20 decibels or something? It does silence it a little bit, but yeah, it's still, you would still hear it. Would it be that loud? I don't know, because that was pretty loud on that Ring camera. That was pretty.
Yes,
loud.
it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And a 30-06 would be very, very loud for sure.
Yeah. So.
That's just so funny that she's the only police officer that would speculate on what size of a weapon would make that hole. And she's like, I don't know for sure, but maybe a 30-06 would. And juror number 5's ears perked up. It's like, oh, another hunter. And we're going to see that in a second here.
Yep. She did say she was an avid hunter.
So we get to redirect. She reconfirms that Officer Rob saw the bullet hole before Brandon did. And then she goes play by play. So then this happened. Correct. So then this. Correct. So then this. Correct. So then this. Correct. So she just like retells the story again with confirmation. Correct from Officer Rob. And that's about all I have for redirect. Do you have anything significant from redirect?
No, actually, I just have Lori coughs and we hear whispers. I didn't even really get much of a cross. Oh, I'm sorry, redirect. Sorry.
Yeah, there wasn't much to redirect.
Yeah.
But then the judge asks, do we have any juror questions? And we do have our first juror question.
Yes.
Of the trial.
Yes.
And I wish I had a little applause like sound effect right here, because I'd be going, yay.
Woo!
Maybe it'll like break the bubble that's been over these, and maybe other people will have questions too.
Yeah. You talked about that, I think, on Friday. That's what you said.
Yeah. So I have for the 2 DNA forensic scientists, jury is baseline paying attention for both of the short DNA directs. Then we get to Officer Rob, and I have juror 6 is taking notes. Juror 9 is either doodling or taking notes. I can't tell which. Juror 16 is taking notes and more notes. Juror 16 is the one front row right, and she's writing a lot of notes for Officer Rob's testimony. Juror 7 and 9. Juror 9 is gallery watching again and about makes eye contact with me again. That Juror 9 on the top right, he loves to watch the gallery, and I'm not sure that he's not paying attention. I'm not going to make that judgment. Maybe that's just like he's listening with his right ear. He's like, what's going on out there?
Is he the doodler too? Is that the guy who doodles, you think? Or
yes.
No?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He doodles and he gallery watches.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he's not paying attention. I'm not casting aspersions.
Yep.
We heard the back window flew open, and then we get to cross exam. And Juror 5 wrote down something. This is the guy that asked the juror questions. He wrote down something during cross exam. And then about 7-8 minutes into Lori's questions, the jury starts losing interest, get a little restless. And then on redirect, juror number 5 yawns for about 5 seconds. It was a huge yawn, like it almost swallowed his head backwards.
Wow. So you know which juror asked the question?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That was juror 5. It was the Yanni guy.
All right. Let me make that note. Juror 5, Yanni guy. Yanni man.
Yanni and Chatty. Like there was a break today when there was a sidebar, and he and juror 6 like chatted away and they joked and they laughed about something. And I'm like, I sure hope they're not talking about the case, about the trial. Please just be talking about something completely different.
I know, right? Let's just get through. Let's get through, get her convicted, and then you guys can talk all you want.
Right. So we had 857 Tucson's in the house. 857, welcome in. Good to see you, my friend. So juror number 5 question. The judge says, fill out this specific form for a jury questionnaire. They hand the paper to him. He takes 30-45 seconds to write out his question, hands it back to the judge. We go to a sidebar so they can discuss it. And he actually asks the question. And it's funny because I couldn't hear the question.
Oh.
I couldn't hear the question. And is it harder to something? Is it when you're hunting with a rifle, is it harder to something? That's all I heard. And I couldn't hear the rest. And Nate Eaton is sitting right next to me to my right. And I go, what'd he say? And he goes, and I couldn't hear what he whispered back. And I go, what? And he's also doing his Twitter feed at the same time I'm doing mine. Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to leave the guy alone. And I'll ask him afterwards so I can help clarify. So it ends up, the question is, should I tell what Nate told me he thought he heard before I say what the actual question was?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, so when we go to break, so we go to break right after this juror question, and I'm like, Nate, what did you say? And he says, is it harder to hit a running cougar?
Oh, that's great.
So I put that with a question mark on Twitter, and I wildly regret that.
Wow. Good one, Nate.
I totally blame Nate.
That is fantastic. Oh my God.
And then I went out into the waiting room and I asked everybody I knew. Well, actually I asked the other members of the media, what did you hear? And I heard 3 different things from 3 different members of the media. So I had to go out to the public because the public has a closer seat and they can hear better. Right. And it ends up, he asked, when you're hunting with a rifle, is it harder to hit a closer target? And Officer Rob said, yes, especially if you're hunting with a scope. And then the recoil can also throw that shot off too. Right. So is that what you got?
Yeah, I have. Would it be easier or harder to hit a closer target? And then if you have a scope, it would be harder. And then a moving target also depends on the person. Do they have a rest? Recoil would affect the shot. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like, dang it, Nate.
That is so funny. Didn't
Right.
Lori ask something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead.
There was something that Lori asked about. Oh, how far would the Jeep have to be? How far away would the Jeep have to be? She said maybe 10 feet. Would it be hard to hit your target at 10 feet? No, I don't think so. I'm like, and I think I said to Chad, it's a rifle. How you're supposed to be able to shoot long distances. It's a rifle, right? That's the point of a rifle.
Right.
Is that you're supposed to shoot? You're supposed to be able to shoot. So would it be harder to shoot it at closer range? I don't think so. I mean, I'm not a hunter, but I have shot guns before, and I think the closer it is,
Well, but it's close and it's moving. So
yeah. I mean, I'd rather be shooting something 10 feet away versus 100 feet away and moving.
True.
Right.
Well, no, because
No.
think about this. The angle of change of your gun necessary to track something that's close up is going to have to change a lot faster because the angle is changing faster. When it's further away, the angle is changing a lot slower. Like imagine a car going perpendicular to you 10 feet away and a car going perpendicular to you 100 feet away or 100 yards away.
That's true.
The angle of change is a lot different.
That is true. Yeah, and you think about anti-aircraft, you got to obviously, lead the target and all that stuff. Whereas then you have to get into distance and all that. Yeah.
Right. All right. So, first juror question. Woohoo! We need to celebrate somehow. We take an afternoon break at 2:35.
Mm-hmm.
That's Chris. I wonder if
Nate will share that. Oh, I hope he does. I hope he says, "Yeah, this guy sitting next to me, his name was Joe, and he asked me, and I said something."
And I gave him bad information.
That's really funny. That's really funny. See, it's moments like that that's you're there for a very serious reason, but then it's moments like that. It's like just makes it cool.
Yeah. Cross exam. So there was on cross exam. There was an objection that Trina K raised, and judge sustained it. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but there was a noticeable deflation of the jury after that. I thought that I noticed. There was a noticeable reaction, I thought, after. I mean, she's had so many objections sustained. Trina has had so many objections sustained, and Lori at one point just, I mean, it's, I'm not going to say it's sad. It's just, but it's pitiful. How about that?
Right. One of the objections was, so if you're in a nice car like a Tesla, you might not and you have the music going on, you might not ever hear a loud bang. That was objected to for sure. Looking through any other objections. The green but not pukey, that was objected. He said sustained, you can rephrase. He gave her that one.
Did she rephrase it though? I don't think she did. There are so many of these where the judge gives her a little bit of a door and a little bit of help, and she doesn't take it.
Right. Yeah. The next note I have after that is the only person who heard a loud bang was Brandon, and he thought there might be a silencer. So.
Yeah, but she clarified very clearly that just because Brandon in his 911 call thought it might be a BB gun or a pellet gun,
right,
or a paintball gun, she's like, once I saw that bullet hole, I was like, nope, that's not what's going on here. There's something completely different.
Yeah, the other objections was to the neighbor, Samantha. Yeah, I'm not sure which objection would have been.
I didn't
So you think the jury is starting to sympathize with her?
No, I don't think it's sympathy. I think it's just like, come on, lady, get on with it. And you know, you're not a good lawyer, so stop trying to be. But
right.
we can't help it. We're in it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. This is what we signed up for. Just buckle yourselves up. The ride has started.
Right. All right. So we come back at 2:51 p.m. So we've got like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes before Judge B, who is very prompt about letting the jury go at 4:30. To get in the rest of his direct and then some cross-examination. And I honestly thought we were going to be done with cross-exam today too, because she's getting to the end of her usual questions about how long were you on the scene how long were you on the scene? What were your duties on the scene? And, you know, her usual questions, which usually come at the end, but we didn't get there today. But she has a habit of forcing witness to come back and get on the stand the next day. This is like the third or fourth witness that has had to come back, and this will actually be his third day on the stand, but that's the second day on the stand today wasn't his fault because of the order of the witnesses, has to do with them being in town from out of town.
Yeah.
So Gilbert Police Department Detective Ryan Pillar continued direct. So he goes through his usual procedure for collecting evidence such as gunshot residue, GSR, and DNA, and integrity sealing it upon impounding it before they store it. So he and Olzak and Lachik went up to Idaho to collect this evidence from the Jeep that the Rexburg PD had impounded. They did it in one day. We'll find out later. So that was on November 18th of 2019. Lachik and Olzak and Pillar took the governor's plane up to Rexburg, Idaho.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And Lori kind of made a comment about that in cross.
I want to hear that because I didn't write that down, but I remember that.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to tell me what your notes say.
Okay.
So we're seeing pictures of the Jeep impound in Rexburg. I really would like to pull those up now. And I had Dizzy like pulling up another video that's after this. So maybe we'll have to look at them at another day because I didn't find them in my email. I could not find them. Let me look one more time really quick because they're impactful. They were impactful in court.
Okay. Yeah, Ray Hermosillo was there as well, right? Is that how you say it? Ray Hermosillo?
Well, he was already there. He's Rexburg PD, so he didn't fly on the plane with them. He was at the impound lot with them.
Right.
Along with a couple of other Rexburg PD officers, apparently.
Yeah, one or two. But that's a name people should be familiar with.
Right. Yes, because he is on the witness list. So, and he did actually attend the first trial a couple of times. Hold on with me one second here.
Well, he testified against Chad, probably against Lori too, right? And he's like the main guy up there.
Yes. There we go. June 9th. Give me a second.
Sure. I didn't take screenshots of these. I didn't take screenshots of the Jeep that Joe's going to bring up, or else I'd be like, oh yeah, we can just show them. But I did not take a screenshot of it. Do you know you're muted?
Yes, because I was playing some audio and I didn't want my microphone to pick it up.
I wasn't sure. Just wanted to double check.
All right, now back to StreamYard. Present, share. Here we go.
Here, these red stickers.
48, this is sort of a beginning photo to let us know, again, the sort of case number that we would see on the items of evidence that were impounded with this case, as well as to document when this process began.
Correct.
Put up 14. Oops. What do we see here?
That's a picture of the Jeep that was impounded at the Rexburg Police Department's impound building. If you notice on the door, around the door frame here, these red stickers, and I believe there's closer up.
You see that color?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
that's pretty close to the colors you pulled up, but maybe it's because it's indoors and we don't have the bright light of day that it looks slightly darker, but that's probably just because it's indoors.
Mm-hmm. But
those
see,
are-
the hood looks gray, but the body looks that
Greenish.
whatever. Yeah.
puke green, pukey
Yeah.
green.
It's so weird. That coloring is so bizarre.
I would not. You couldn't pay me to have one of my vehicles in that color, but it was for Tylee though. It was for
Yeah.
Tylee.
Yeah.
So I get that for a girl's Jeep. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite turquoise. It's not quite gray. It's like somewhere in between turquoise and gray, right?
I see gray sometimes, and then I also see kind of that green. That is, leaning towards turquoise now. It's really interesting in the lighting how it just changes. Different lighting changes, makes it look different.
Yeah.
Pictures, but those are evident seals. So again, you can't access that vehicle without damaging those seals.
Exhibit 50, does that again show some of those seals?
Yes, the integrity seals.
We had also heard and seen a photo from Dan Moss. Did this vehicle have a sticker here in this corner?
Yes,
Was that associated to Texas?
yes, it is. Was.
51, is that sort of showing a closer up of those seals that the vehicle was still in that same shape from when it was impounded?
Yes, they're showing that all doors have been sealed.
Exhibit 52, can we see on this the tinting on this vehicle?
Wait. I got to go look.
Were you able to
gotta look
see
at
into
those
the
seals
vehicle?
on the door again.
We had also heard and seen a photo from Dan Moss. Did this vehicle have a sticker here in this corner?
Yes,
Was that associated to Texas?
yes, it is. Was.
51, is that sort of showing a
Wait, those seals are not still intact. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see a line through them.
Those seals are not intact.
Mm-mm.
I would want pictures of the intact seals before I start collecting evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
Wow. Something again that she didn't catch.
Mm-hmm. I didn't catch it either until you just pointed that out.
Well, I couldn't on the exhibits today. I couldn't see it on the screens. So the screens are up to our left and our right, and way across the room.
Right.
The jury has a big old projector screen in front of them, like as big as a movie theater screen,
Mhm.
but it's not high resolution. So I don't know that they would have picked up on it.
Did we
closer
get
up of
to
those
the-
seals at the vehicle?
Did we get? Sorry,
What?
Dizzy. Did we get to the cheeseburger comment yet? Did you catch that?
I don't- So were you just sitting around eating a cheeseburger? I don't think yet. No, I think
Okay.
it's when it
All right.
comes to Tammy Lachik collecting the swabs. I think that's when she mentioned. So were you just sitting around eating a cheeseburger? Silly Trina. Silly Trina.
Vehicle was still in that same shape from when it was impounded?
Yes, they're showing that all doors have been sealed.
Exhibit 52, can we see on this the tinting on this vehicle?
Yes,
Were you able to see into the vehicle
not without actually getting up close to the flashlight.
with a flashlight?
Yes,
Exhibit 53, closer up of the seals and the tinting on that window?
very
Those
dark.
are broken. Those seals are totally broken.
Now, at the time when this Jeep was impounded, was the rear tire on it?
When it was impounded, when it was located by Rexburg Police and then impounded, it was impounded as you see here, and it did have a wheel affixed to the back of the Wrangler.
Exhibit 55, showing that rear window and the tire and the seals there?
Yes.
Okay. So we see here, let's imagine that the spare tire is gone.
Mm-hmm.
How does that window open up? Is there like a latch in the middle of it?
I would
I
think
have
so.
questions. Like, could you open it from the inside and the outside, or could you only open it from the outside? So if you can only open it from the outside, so he takes off the tire, they take it off actually in Rexburg, and he drives all the way down to Arizona with that spare tire off. If you can only open it from the outside, that means he has to get out of the Jeep, go around, open it slightly, and just leave it like resting there on the door, and then go climb back inside the Jeep. And then when he sees the Tesla, he flips it open and takes the shot.
Right.
Because usually those things open from the outside, but I don't think they open from the inside too. It's not like a two-sided. I mean, why would you ever need to open it from the inside? Anyway.
Yeah.
Random thoughts.
Good ones.
And then again, showing the seals in 56, 57 is that sort of a whited out, and 58, a photo of the license plate.
Yes.
So that's the license plate that, again, was associated to Lori Vallow's Jeep Wrangler.
Correct.
Now,
Hold on. We got a good comment right there. Only outside, and the door has to be opened beneath the window as the window tucks behind the tailgate. That's what I thought. See, I have a soft top Wrangler, so I don't have to worry about that. My soft top tucks on the outside of the door. It's completely different than a hard top, so I'm not familiar with the hard tops. So the door has to be opened. So he had to get out and open the tailgate and put the window on the outside of it, and then close the tailgate with the window on the outside of it. That's what has to have happened.
Close the tailgate with the window. Yeah.
With the window on the outside of it with no spare tire. That's what has to have happened. Okay. We got it now.
in Exhibit 6 here, we're seeing sort of how the rear window here that was described by Brandon as going up is able to move upward.
Yes, and if you look in the same picture towards the bottom left, you'll notice that the door actually has to be open because that door is what actually has the wheel affixed to it. If that wheel is not there, that window can be open without.
Those definitely to me look like pneumatic door
Agreed.
lifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Officer Rob said it flipped up, then those pneumatic hinges flipped it up like all the way. So that's open all the way, but he probably wasn't like fully sitting up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, who knows? But
Yeah, I don't know how Brandon, I mean, obviously a lot was happening and he just saw the gun coming at him, or, you know, that's what he focused on, but you're driving right towards this. So you would, you know, somebody's got, you know, I mean, it's me basically, I've got the gun, got the muzzle, you know, maybe, and the sun's coming behind you. It's really weird that Brandon did not see the figure, that didn't see.
yeah,
You
he
know,
only saw a barrel.
he
Yep.
just saw the barrel. Yeah. Cause I'm thinking, well, maybe Alex was so far back that he was in the, you know, in the shadows of the Jeep, you know, the back of the Jeep. So that could explain why he didn't see them. And he just saw the gun sticking out, cause the sun would have hit that for sure. You
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
Bumping into the wheel.
Okay, so in order to open the window, you guys had to actually open up the bottom, I'll call it for lack of a better word, door here,
Correct.
tailgate.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Now, when you were processing this vehicle, did you talk with Ms. Lashik about where you would like to collect the gunshot residue from?
Yes.
And when you were discussing where to collect it from, was this based upon what Brandon Boudreaux had explained occurred on October 2nd?
Yes.
So your understanding was the shooter was inside the rear of the vehicle and the rifle was pointing out this back tailgate window area.
Correct. That back window opened partially and was fired from within that cab inside that Jeep Wrangler.
So based upon that, where did you want to collect the gunshot residue from?
I described to Ms. Lashik what I was looking for, and I wanted to focus primarily for GSR collection to be in the back cab of that Jeep Wrangler where GSR might be present. So around the back window and the back frame of the interior of that Jeep.
Were you looking to both rear and driver's side windows as
Yes.
one of the locations? Were you looking to both the passenger and driver's side front seats?
Yes.
Were you looking to the hard top of that Jeep?
Yes.
And then the rear window, meaning this rear window?
Yes. And as I believe I explained on Friday, it's an explosion of gas and particles. So anywhere within that area that was just identified, we were checking all those areas for GSR, gunshot residue.
When you were processing this Jeep on November 18th for GSR, at that time, did you know anything about whether or not the rear seat of this vehicle had been removed prior to the shooting?
I had no knowledge of the status of the back seat, no.
I'm going to put up 63 so we know what we're talking about. When this Jeep was impounded and you guys processed it, was the seat like this at that time?
Yes.
So when you're processing this Jeep on November 18th, you are unaware that this may have been removed at the time of the October 2nd shooting?
Correct.
Okay. When you were processing this Jeep on November 18th, were you aware that the rear tire had been removed?
Yes.
Was that based upon your interview with Brandon Boudreaux?
Yes.
Okay. And does that also make sense, given what you understand of how you could possibly open that rear window with or without the tire on there?
Yes. And at this juncture, we also had the diesel license plate reader image that was presented earlier of the Jeep without a tire on the back.
All right, so when you're processing this on November 18th, you have what Brandon Boudreaux told you, that there was no tire on the back and the rear window opened, as well as that license plate reader from the DEA showing this Jeep with this license plate on the I-40 without the rear tire.
We must have missed the cheeseburger comment.
Yeah, I think so.
That must have been before that. Oh, wait. Who do we see here who do we see in the gallery? There's Brandon, right?
Yep, Brandon, Jenny, and is that Kay right behind him?
Right there, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
No, Kay's up here.
Oh,
That's
okay.
for Kay wore today.
Okay.
All right. We may have to save the cheeseburger comment for another time.
Yeah. So now that you see, I mean, he could have had his head like just above, like if this is the, where, you know, the gate, he could have just, meaning Alex could have just been right, you know, instead of showing his full body or, you know, half of his body, he could have just had the gun, you know, and just showed that, his face, I guess, his eyes. I don't know. I
Right.
can see that.
Yeah. It would be an awkward position from that height, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
that's
he'd be sitting versus laying down. Like he would just be sitting up, you know?
right. Like if you were on your elbows, and I don't think Alex was a very big guy. Like he was probably like 5'9", 5'10", maybe.
Mhm. Yeah.
So he wouldn't have elbows where he could lay on his elbows and have the rifle over the top.
No, because I think what we just saw, the floor to the bottom of the window at the top of the gate, you wouldn't be able to lay flat. You'd have to be sitting up.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
So maybe he was laying backwards. So he had his feet on one side, kind of diagonal, and he was leaning up against the other side, waiting for him. And then when he saw him, he flipped it up and he was kind of half sitting up. Like if you laid across the bed of the Jeep and you were half sitting up.
Right.
That's because who knows how long he was sitting waiting there. I mean, we're going to see the cell phone records of when he left Melanie's house and went over there. But Brandon was at the gym for an hour to an hour and a half. So he was laying in the back of that Jeep for a while. He had to get comfortable somehow.
Yeah. Somebody in your chat said Brandon was driving into the sun. No, he was driving west. He was going
Correct.
westbound. So that means Alex was facing the sun. So that means the sun was in Alex's eyes. So that could have played.
Depending on what level above the horizon it was. Yeah, it could have played a part. Yeah.
So it's like 9:15. You know, it's.
Let's see. It was October 2nd. Sunrise in Gilbert, Arizona on October 2nd. 6:22 a.m. Oh, the sun is well above the horizon then. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that could have played into Alex not getting a good shot. Thankfully.
Right.
thankfully.
We're going to star that question. We'll talk about that at the end. Thank you for your questions. Keep asking them. We're starring them, and we will get to them at the end. When I see something that's relevant to the discussion we're having now, we'll bring it up. All right. So we see all of those pictures of the back of the Jeep. And then we start getting into fingerprints, and they try and take fingerprints, and they don't find any usable fingerprints from the interior of the Jeep. I have questions about the exterior. Did they swab the door handles? Did they swab the gas tank cover?
They said something about the lug nuts. That's about the only thing I think that I've heard from outside. Everything else was inside: the steering wheel, the door handles, the seat belt.
Those were all DNA swabs.
Oh, right. This is the latent. They're going for the fingerprints. Just no viable prints were located within the Jeep. He didn't say anything about outside. Yeah.
Right. I'm curious about that. Why they didn't, if they didn't. But we'll never know because Lori didn't ask him that either.
Yeah.
All right. They did find Jeep registration and insurance cards inside for Lori Vallow and Charles Vallow.
Yep.
And then they came back with the DNA evidence and the other evidence. The DNA evidence was sent off to Mesa Police Department for those two young ladies that we saw earlier. And that was forensic scientist Sepinoso. I got it right that time. And Perry. And then she starts to get into the search warrants, the telephone record search warrants that he wrote and got approved by a judge. And the warrants specifically covered September 27th to October 10th, which is interesting because that track phone was bought on September 25th and activated on September 26th. So why would you not just go back 2 days and get a search warrant for that? I don't know.
Yeah, good question.
Lori objects to the reports which were returned from the search warrants being entered in as evidence. And the judge doesn't even bother to say overruled. He just says they shall be entered in as evidence.
She said foundation, I think. I have foundation. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She tries to be lawyer Lori and has no basis of merit.
Yep.
Then
go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Well, you may talk about it. I have some fairly big things. I just want to make sure that we don't miss those. So please continue.
Okay. So I have on October 2nd at 9:02 a.m. Idaho time, 8:02 a.m. Arizona time, Alex's phone called Lori Vallow's phone in Rexburg, Idaho, and it lasted about 24 minutes. So this was right around the time of the incident where she's attempting to provide an alibi and saying that he was still in Rexburg when he had a burner phone and was driving the Jeep. And was actually already in Gilbert. Probably stayed the night in Melanie's house.
Yeah,
we haven't seen that evidence yet, but that's what I'm presuming.
Yep.
So we have the track phone with a 304 area code. Did you Google 304 area code to see what area code that was?
I did not, but we can.
West Virginia?
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's a burner phone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But how do you tell them to give you a 304 area code when you're purchasing it in Rexburg, Idaho? You would think, by default, you would get a Rexburg area code phone number. That's interesting.
Right.
Not like I'm going to take tips from Alex Cox on how to be a criminal.
Yeah, no.
304 area code. And Detective Pillar believes, once again, not objected to by Lori, he believes that that phone was being used by Alex Cox. Objection foundation. There's your objection foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was subscribed to a Gmail account. It was purchased at an Idaho Walmart, store number 5494, on September 25th and activated on September 26th. And it was only used until October 2nd, and then it became inactive.
Mm-hmm.
I have, let's get to some of my juror notes. I have some juror notes for Detective Pillar. Up to this point, the jury is fairly baseline. Juror 5 and 16 are taking notes. Juror 5 is the one with the question from earlier. Honestly, right now, if I had a vote, he's my jury foreman. He's paying attention. He's taking notes. He's yawning a lot, and I wish he'd stop with that, but he's paying attention and he's taking notes.
Okay.
Then we see the pictures of the Jeep with the red seals. This was interesting because I happened to look over at juror number 9, who's the one that sits on the end and he doodles and he looks into the gallery. And when they showed the pictures of the Jeep with the red seals, he shook his head no briefly, like it was just a quick like that. So I wonder if he did actually see those broken seals. Now that I saw them, I wonder if he saw them too.
Right. Huh.
And if he did, why didn't he ask a question? Come on, man.
Right. Please clarify why it seemed like those red seals were broken.
Right. And then juror number 6 is a little bored and looks out into the gallery.
What?
During the gunshot residue swab testimony, I caught a juror who shall remain nameless picking his or her nose.
No. Oh, no.
Sometimes you can juror watch a little too much.
Why would they even, I have no words. Jesus.
It's my fault for paying too much attention to them. I mean, it's natural human behavior, right? During the fingerprints, juror 9, this is when juror 9 was during the fingerprint testimony. He's staring off to the gallery at the left for several seconds. Don't know what he was looking at over there. Then we get into the search warrants. Juror 6 is getting a little bored. He's leaning back with his arm behind his head like this, like, oh gosh, are we done yet? Juror number 9 was doodling. Juror number 5, again, my vote for jury foreman, was taking notes. And then 5 minutes into the discussion about these phone records and search warrants, everybody resets to baseline in the jury.
Does Judge Boreski like watch the jury, and if they're kind of yawning or fidgeting, he doesn't do it? Okay.
Nope. He's not paying attention until it comes time to ask if they have a question or not.
Okay.
Or one of their cell phones goes off next to a speaker.
Then he's like, what?
We were all like, what?
Right.
So the phone was only used until October 2nd. Then it was inactive for the rest of its life. I wonder if they killed that phone number. They probably did. They probably had to just know that it was associated with the police investigation. You know, whoever the carrier was, just, hey, this is associated with police investigation. You probably shouldn't be assigning this to anybody else.
Right.
The only phone number that had communication interaction with that track phone that was purchased in the Rexburg Walmart on September 25th was Chad Daybell's phone.
Yep.
The only other phone that had communication with that.
Yep. I wonder if the jury's wondering about this Chad Daybell that they keep hearing about, because that's pretty damning evidence, right?
Yeah. Well, they've already heard that they got married, that Chad
Mhm.
and Lori got married.
Yep. In
And
Hawaii.
other things. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
In Hawaii. Yep.
And then the Gilbert PD reached out to the FBI to receive assistance with cellular data location and email investigation.
Yep.
Do you have anything else before
Nope. Yeah.
Lori begins cross?
Yep. Nope. That's it. That's it. Yep.
All right. So she asked how many cases he's been the case agent for. He's like, I couldn't say. She says, can you guess? Why? What is it with her numbers? And people say,
Yeah.
I don't know. And she wants them to guess.
Right.
It's like, it's a weird thing with her.
At least she didn't say, is it more than 5, more than 10, more than 20? You know, at least she didn't go, she didn't go that route, because that seems to be what she always does, but she did not.
Right.
Yeah.
No, she did not.
Yeah.
So he says a couple hundred, and that may be low.
Yeah.
She's like, then she gets back to the color of the Jeep. She wants to obsess about Brandon changing the color of the Jeep. But I mean, we could all see from those pictures that we all have trouble interpreting what color that Jeep is. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lame duck. I just don't think that she's going to get anywhere with the jury with that. Always asking about the color of the Jeep.
Right. Different lighting, different, sunlight versus warehouse lighting or whatever, natural light versus artificial light. But I think she was going with that, the neighbor, was darker color. That's interesting, because I would not have ever said that's a darker color.
Yeah. No, he did say that. The neighbor across the street said it was a darker color.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that is interesting.
yeah.
What color did Brandon tell Officer Rob? What color did the other witnesses say? And it was all green, 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 green. Like some shade of green was what Brandon said and what all of the other witnesses said.
Right.
The one across the street did say dark. He didn't offer a color up. That does not look like a dark color to me.
No, I would never. Yeah.
No.
Agreed. Yeah.
If I'm defending her, and I'm not, but if I'm doing the my cousin Vinny defense, I'm like, so what color would you say this is? Do you have problems with your vision? Let's test your vision, and let's test your definition of colors. How many fingers am I holding up? What color are my fingers?
Right.
So she says, all of your reports say that it was a gray Jeep. Where did you get that? Where did you get that information? It wasn't from Brandon. It wasn't from the witnesses, correct? He says, correct. That was from Chandler PD. So Chandler PD told him it was a gray Jeep.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
And where did that piece of glass come from? That one shard of glass that they found in the street. Where did that come from? Could it have come from Brandon's shoe? And he said it's possible.
Yeah, because she said in the body cam, 7 to 8 minutes, Brandon is seen moving glass with his shoe. I wish they had shown that body cam, right, with Officer Rob.
Yeah.
I wish they had shown that. I think that would have been the appropriate time to show it. I don't know, right? Did they have not shown the body, have they?
Well, she asks him, this is her opportunity for that, because she asks him, would it help you to see the body? Have you seen the body worn cam? And he says, yes, I have, but I don't remember what it was. And she says, would it help refresh your recollection to see it? And he says, yeah, I guess it would if you want to play it. Yeah. It opens the door for her to play it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't.
She does not. Yeah.
You know why? Because it's going to be more damaging than helpful to her. That's why. Because we're going to see Brandon in that moment in his emotional distraughtness. Is that a word? I just made up a new word, distraughtness.
Yeah. Distraughtness. I like it.
that's going to show all of that stuff, and it's going to make it real and raw to the jury. And I'm like, if I'm in the jury, I'm like, no, I want to see it. I want to see it. Show it. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I'm going to wonder why the state hasn't presented it, and why
Mhm.
now Lori with the door open does not present it.
I thought for sure they'd bring it in with Rob, with Officer Rob. Once she testified, I thought for sure they'd
Me
play
too.
it. Because
Me
it's
too.
not that long. It's like, what, 10 minutes or something?
Yeah.
10, 15
Yep.
minutes? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Lori tries to get into heads up, Dizzy. Lori tries to get into what the neighbors said.
Mm-hmm.
And Ms. K objects because that's hearsay. Officer or Detective Pillar can't testify to what the neighbors told him because that's hearsay. So Trina K objects and the judge sustains it. And Lori says, but it doesn't go to the truth of the matter. And then she asks for a sidebar. And the judge says, no, just move on. And I honestly thought I heard her voice quivering.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new word too, quavering.
I like it.
So Dizzy has a video pulled up for us to watch that entire sequence and then listen to Lori afterwards, like ask the next few questions and listen to her voice. Pay careful attention to her voice.
Anything to say one way or the other. I mean, as detectives, we have to be neutral fact finders. We're not choosing one way or the other. We are following the evidence. In this case, with the evidence we had at that point, we were following our best leads.
And so did you learn from Officer Rob that the neighbor that she had got contact with said that the Jeep had a tire on the back?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I wasn't asking for the truth of the matter asserted. I was asking for the effect on the listener. Officer Rob,
Sustained.
can I have a sidebar?
No, it's sustained. Next question.
Nope.
In your estimation, Detective Pillar, how far was the Jeep's when the supposed shot was taken?
With the information provided by Mr. Boudreaux and the neighbors describing where this Jeep was located, where I believe, at least at the time, where that glass shard might be related in the roadway, I would guess. I don't want to guess because we didn't measure, and I don't know exactly where the individual was.
All right, let's back up and listen to that first question right after
And when I say a few feet, the Jeep
sidebar denied.
at least a Jeep
Listen to her
and
voice carefully.
neighbors' description provided.
In your estimation, Detective Pillar, how far
Hear
was the
that?
Jeep's when the
Yeah.
Her
supposed
voice
shot was taken?
definitely
Wavered, quivered, quavered.
All right. That's good. That's good for that. Thanks, Dizzy. I just wanted that first question right after that. There was a little break in her voice. Like judge told her no, dad told her no again. Do you want to watch that body worn cam from Detective Rob? Or
Sure.
Detective Officer Rob?
Officer Rob, yeah.
Officer Rob. Yep. All right. I've got it ready to go. It's actually 20 minutes long, but I'm going to speed it up. And I think towards the end of it, there's nothing like towards the end of it. I think it keeps recording past a certain point.
Okay.
All right. First part is blurry. It will clear up after a bit.
Hi there. So what's going on?
Someone just shot my window out.
Okay, give me a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so I was just pulling in.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a green Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
It's like a pukey green
Okay.
color.
He did say pukey green.
They did. Yep. I heard it.
Okay.
Maybe it's just my neighbor.
Okay.
So as I was kind of pulling in, they lifted their back window.
Okay.
I saw a muzzle, they shot.
Are we talking a real gun,
I don't-
a BB gun?
It's got to be like a BB gun or an airsoft.
Okay,
It was
so
loud.
they shot, then what happened?
It hit my window, and instead of turning in, it scared me really bad. and
Okay.
I thought, I'm getting shot at, so I drove straight. So I
Okay.
drove straight really fast.
Okay.
Pulled around the corner, got my phone out, called 911, sat there, drove a little further up. I watched them come around the corner.
What do you mean coming around the corner? Coming around the corner where?
So I drove up there. I drove
Okay.
to this street.
Gotcha.
made a right, went a little further.
Okay.
Parked by, there's a park right there.
So he went northbound on that
northbound.
street.
Turned right, and I watched him turn right down here, and I knew there was only one way out of this neighborhood.
Okay.
It was on Pecos and Wrecker, so I told that to the dispatcher.
Okay, so he was on Wrecker. He went, but you don't know if he went onto Pecos. You just know Wrecker Road.
He didn't get on Wrecker. He stayed on this, and he came out on. He had to have gone out on Pecos because that's the only way.
Oh, he stayed in the neighborhood. He did not go out to Wrecker. I got you covered. Okay.
And I was nervous, so I was kind of waiting because I didn't want him to follow me.
So we don't know where, if he went on Pecos, left, right.
I don't. I didn't follow him anymore. I was a little uncomfortable.
Okay. 11 Paul 22, just for information on units, left the neighborhood south toward Pecos and unknown from that location. Okay.
So it was really loud, so that's why I didn't have a BB gun. But it could have been maybe.
Well, let's look. So you were just pulling into the driveway. They were sitting here.
Yeah. So I was.
So were they facing then west? Because if they opened the back.
Yeah, he opened the back, and there had been two people, I think. 'Cause
Okay.
they were so quick.
So I'm just checking the
Right, facing
sun
that way.
because this is like
Gotcha.
7 minutes later, right?
So my window was like perfectly.
It took officers about 7 minutes to get there.
Well, let's look. So you were just pulling into the driveway. They were sitting here.
Yeah. So I was.
So were they facing then west? Because if they opened the back.
Yeah, he opened the back, and there had been two people, I think. 'Cause they were
Okay.
so quick.
You muted, Joe. Nope, still muted.
For real, I muted myself. You're muted,
There
Joe.
you go.
You're muted, Joe.
Sorry, bud.
So you can see her shadow and his shadow are kind of off about
Yep.
15, 20 degrees to the right from being parallel with the street.
Mm-hmm.
So the sun has risen and come across to the left just a little bit. So I don't think it would have been shining directly in the back of that Jeep, and definitely not in Alex's eyes,
Yeah, no.
but definitely coming from behind the Tesla and not in front of it.
Behind,
to
yes.
some extent. Yeah. So it should. So there's a tree right there in front of the white van.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some tree shadow over the Jeep. So you may not actually be able to see in the Jeep that well because there's no sunlight coming in from the left or the right. There's only the direct sunlight from when the back window opens up.
Mm-hmm.
They were parked
Yeah.
right here,
Right, facing that way.
facing towards this van.
Gotcha.
And as I.
Yeah, right there.
There's a tree shadow right there.
Okay, so you didn't totally pull in yet. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can see my window. It's shattered, but it didn't go through, which means it couldn't have been a real bullet. I didn't think like that.
Oh. Whoa. Hello. Is that who's? Okay, I'm like, what the heck?
Oh, wow, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Is this going to shut on me if I get close?
No, 'cause I'll
Okay.
be inside.
Am I going to get attacked by this car?
Right.
Well, I don't think that's a BB gun.
Yeah.
One train calling us, Ninja 459. It's been holding for over 2 hours.
So I don't remember who it was that testified 1.5 to 2 inches. I think that's a little bit more than 1.5 to 2 inches above his head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's probably about 6 foot tall, which means his head is like, right there where the headrest is. It looks a little more than 1.5 to 2 inches away, but still,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think it was Officer Rob. I think she did. I think she said
Yeah.
was, yeah. As she was describing it went up, I think it was like,
Right.
yeah, I'm pretty sure she did.
right. Yep.
District 6.
All right, so it looks like they shot up anything if he's there. All right, so you just moved in.
Yeah.
Okay, you just okay. So was this a vacant home at the time?
Previously, yeah. It's
Okay.
a rental.
All right. So you're the owner though, right now, or you still
lease.
you're okay? So you're just renting it. Did the
What's the
owners
property?
of the house? Can I open?
Yeah.
Is this how do you open this door? Go ahead.
Right.
Ah, look at you.
Sorry.
That's pretty sweet.
112, Officer Taylor.
Anyway, did the owners of the house say anything to you who was renting the house before you or anything? No. You have any enemies? Anybody that you...
Just went through a divorce. There's some crazy.
Whoa, that was a knee-jerk reaction. Do you have any enemies? I'm going through a divorce, or I just went through a divorce. Whatever he said his answer was. Like, boom, right off the bat. He didn't even think about it. That's like, he knows.
He immediately, I think in testimony, I think Pillar, or maybe it was Rob, as we're hearing right now. Yeah, he said, he told me immediately it was his ex-wife, his ex-wife's family. So we heard it right there. You know, he's going through a divorce. Yep.
Stuff that happened with her aunt killed her husband, but I hope that hasn't.
See, her aunt killed her husband. Boom. Like that's immediately.
Maybe that's why they're not showing the body cam. I totally missed that. Like when
Did you live here in the valley before? Where'd you move from?
10 years.
I'm sorry?
I've lived here for 10 years.
Okay, so where'd you move from? Here in Gilbert,
I just
or?
saw the house over on Quinn, just right by the
Okay. And no issues at work, no issues, enemies or anything? Okay.
Other than the only people that I could even think of would be that group. But,
The family?
Yeah.
Your ex-wife's?
yeah.
All right. Kind of weird.
There she is sticking her pin in there like she testified to today. And Lori's like, do you always stick a pin in a bullet hole? She's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. She didn't shy away from that. She's like, yes.
No. Yeah. Got a problem with that? Come on, bring it.
All right, let me grab my camera and get some pictures. All right, so you were coming here. Did it look like a long rifle? Did it look like a rifle type?
Yeah, it looked like a rifle or something. Like there was a muzzle. There was like some kind of a muzzle thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just lifted up the back gate and shot.
Okay. So
There was some kind of a muzzle thing on it. So once again, I wonder if that's the handguard that you have like on an AR style rifle. Just a thought.
they were shooting this way. Okay. All right.
Let's see if we can fast forward past some of this. Oh no, I want to see this though. This is important.
Hey, head over this way to the house. I want to show you something. Yeah, I think it might be adults. But yeah, I think this might be a real gun too. Not sure. I just want to show you real quick. Right here, right in the street here on Phelps. He was heading westbound, just about to drive into his driveway. And the green Jeep was parked right here on the side, right next to his house, just west of the house, facing west. And whoever was in the back opened up the back of the Jeep Wrangler, the little door in the back, whatever you want to call it, the flip thing, and shot one. So the guy didn't make it into his driveway. It shot and it actually hit the driver's window, blew out the window. And so the guy got scared and kept driving westbound. And then as he's round the corner, that's when the Jeep Wrangler took off, kind of circled in the neighborhood, and then headed toward Pecos, don't know where. So I'm going to take some pictures. Okay, bye.
So she did say this, that she took pictures with her
Where was the window? Where did that land? Because I'm
With her
assuming you picked
office.
that up.
work phone, I should say.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
when I drove around.
So when you got out of your car right now is where it lays.
You just saw it just opens automatically. As soon as
Yeah.
it opened, the window fell off, and so like.
That's just weird how that opens. That would freak me out. All righty. All right. So whereabouts? What were you say? Were you about right here?
Right here.
Okay.
Saw the tailgate lift up.
Yeah.
Pointed the gun at me. Shot.
Okay, so it would have went.
I heard a loud.
So
Yeah.
he just said he pointed the gun at me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a figure of speech or if he may have actually seen. You would think that if he saw somebody he recognized as Alex, he would say, kind of looked like him or had a general appearance of such and such. That's
Right.
interesting.
Or if it was obvious female, he would have been like she, I guess, if it
Right.
was obvious. If it was obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
But he could be just a figure of speech. That's like we all
Yeah.
use that
Yeah.
generically all the time.
Window shattered, and then I just.
Right. I'm trying to figure out trajectory. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, there's nothing.
It's stuck in there.
You think so?
Absolutely.
That's what I was wondering, but I don't see. It's got to be back in here. I'm not touching. Anyway.
I'm not touching. You just almost touched it.
You just touched it. You just stuck your pen in there and your
Right.
finger. I'm pretty sure she put her finger in there too.
I missed that.
Yeah, I think when she first got there, she put her finger in there.
I can't do it, Pammy. Trajectory. Oh, I got it.
It's a tough one. It's one of those words. You have to really think about it.
All right, so he's right about here. Okay, you guys want to go just right over here for just a sec when I get some pictures real quick.
Where were you on the car?
She's just whistling while she works.
All right.
Right?
Now, the green you're talking about, are we talking that type of green?
Like a hunter green?
Like a pukey green.
Pukey green. You said
Kind
it
of more
again.
Pukey green.
Yep.
Are we talking a chartreuse?
And
It
again.
sounds like got a gazillion colors. Green.
Let me just try to find it on my nest.
Look at your nest. He's got that nest
Oh.
right there.
How fantastic. Do you have your?
This is
that
where he
your
looks
car
at his
registered to you?
notes.
The driver, or your registration. Okay, I'll just get all your information off of that real fast.
He's Googling the color of the car.
Right.
And Lori is obsessed with the color of the car and how his story supposedly changes.
Yeah. I mean, nobody said like red or yellow. It's like gray, green, although
camel.
dark.
Okay.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, dark is
You good, dude?
off for
Are they sending a detective up? This
It
definitely.
was
I don't
sitting
know.
under
Because
the.
I'm assuming.
We're still
Well,
recording.
oh, I am too. Scott's coming out.
Walked up. Is he?
I don't know.
It was underneath the shade of a tree, and those shadows can change those, like changing colors and make them look darker.
Mhm.
So that's just a thought. It was parked under the shadow of a tree.
Mhm.
Hey, you need to call him.
Well, I thought he was coming. Well, you just said about Scott coming out.
No, I said I would call him.
Oh,
You
well,
want
of
me to
course.
call him?
I thought he was coming out. Let's just get him on the radio and say, "Come on out." There goes a gray. Now, is it I got to find out 2-door, 4-door. But anyway, get him out here. I thought he was already on the way.
I'm gonna walk up and down these streets.
Yeah, see if we have any more
I'm gonna see.
cameras.
Yep, I'm gonna walk up this one in the back camera.
Cool, thanks.
All right. Hold on.
Are you Brandon? All right, cool.
Oh, I
She's
thought they
just now asking that.
Yeah, I thought they established that already.
So what would you say, how many minutes before you called us did this happen?
I just called right as soon as it happened.
Okay, fantastic. Now, were you able to, because you're coming in, they're facing that way, so you're not going to be able to see. When they passed you, when you were parked, were you able to see any description of these people? Is it a guy,
Here's
a
when they
girl,
passed.
anything? Okay,
I was trying to make sure I had enough distance in case they shot it.
okay.
So that's when they passed him on the right. That's when he said passed him on the right.
And you said you saw, when you saw, you could see the barrel. You think it was a long rifle, not handgun?
Yeah, and it had like some kind of like a silencer or something on it.
Okay,
That's why it's like maybe it wasn't a gun because but it was so loud.
okay.
But it was so loud.
Sure, sure. Do you have, I was going to say, do you have a chair or something that we can get you?
I have no chairs. I just want to sit down.
Okay, sure, no problem at all.
It's gonna hit me, you know.
Is there anybody else here? Are you the only person that lives here? Is there anybody here that?
My kids live here with me.
Okay, no other adults? Okay, is there somebody we can call to come here to be with you?
Yeah, in a minute.
Okay, you go ahead and you take your time, whatever you need, okay? Can I get you a bottle of water?
I got one over there. I'm fine. I just want to sit down.
Sure, no problem at all.
Here with you, buddy?
No.
Nobody else is here at the house? What do you do for a living?
I own a couple businesses.
Okay.
Somebody's already doing detective work. What do you do?
I know I have a lot of questions. I apologize.
That's the other
is it a
officer
two-door
she
or a
called.
four-door Jeep
Yep.
Wrangler?
Looks like a
Is it Bullock? I think his name was Bullock.
Is that what? Yeah. Yeah, she's just a straight up patrol, right? I mean,
Yeah. She's also a
Kenny-
straight up mom. She's also a straight up mom. Do
yeah.
you need to sit down? Can I get you a chair? Do you need to drink a water?
Yeah. Do you have anybody to call? You want me to call anybody? Yeah.
Yep. I like her.
She's a great cop. We see so many instances where, you know, people say bad things about law enforcement, but she's a great cop.
Yep. Agreed. No argument here.
Okay.
Yeah.
1141.
Okay. When you went, huh? Yeah, you're going to do a canvas, yeah, and do a line search. As you
Here's the line
as you went
search.
down and you got out, you turned
Disregard, just
north
17.
on that street. Okay, how far did you go down before you parked and just
You know where there's a pool over here?
there? Okay, I'm not real far. It's been a while.
I owned a house on the other side of the street. So I know
Okay.
where everything was. So I just pulled on the other side of the pool.
Pull the other side of the pool. Okay,
It's right there.
all right. And then they passed you by.
As I saw
They
them drive by, I thought, well, I'm going to go down this way and make sure they don't come back out and go out this way.
Right.
So I had 911 and I told them. And
Okay.
as I saw them go down that way, that's when I pulled
Okay.
back in. And,
Okay.
and then it kind of hit me what happened. And not until you showed me that I realized
Take it
something.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get some maps and stuff like that. I'm going to be making some notes, so just hang tight, okay? The GMC? Okay, got it.
I think we're done with this.
Yeah, she like pulls around, I think.
Yep.
And I don't, yeah. Yeah, she was a
set up
cop
for
for, like 34, 35, 36 years, something like that. Jamie Sayan and Deborah as well. Yeah. Yeah, she was an officer for a long time.
Right. Okay. So that was Warren Kim. And it registers more with me now after hearing the testimony on the stand.
Absolutely. Did you see 7 or 8 minutes Brandon kicking his feet or something like that? That's what Lori asked, and I kind of forgot to look for that. Body cam, 7 to 8 minutes. Brandon is seen moving glass with his shoe. Kind of missed that.
I missed that too.
Yeah.
Interesting thought. I'll have to go back and watch for that next time.
Yeah.
Not tonight, though. I'm not going to hit that again tonight. Okay, so where were we? We're on
The sidebar sustained. Can I have a sidebar?
Yes, and her voice gets all shaky and quaky and quavery.
Right.
So we come back from that, and she peppers him with a bunch of firearm questions like, so there's no way to determine what kind of gun was used, where the gunshot came from, what the height it was shot from. like a bunch of those type of questions. What caliber was used? No, 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 no. And then she gets into the gunshot residue. Can that transfer from person to person? And he's like, I'm not a gunshot residue expert. But keep in mind that juror, and I think it's juror number 13, his father was a gunsmith. Okay. So if she's asking some annoying questions, he's going to be super annoyed by her questions. Like if you don't have enough projectile evidence left over, if you don't have certain things, no, there's no way to tell these things. Like you don't know for sure where the Jeep was. You don't know for sure where the barrel of the rifle was. If you don't know for sure where the Tesla was, I mean, anything that you come up with is speculation. But here's the thing is, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts versus Karen Reed, they did speculate on a lot of those things. And they did come up with a lot of things that they thought were what happened. So
right.
It's always a mystery to me, like when they decide to come up with stuff and when they don't decide to come up with stuff.
Agreed.
And they did in this case.
Yeah.
Then she presses him on the license plate readers. How many are there in Gilbert? And how many hits did you have in Gilbert, Mesa, Phoenix, Scottsdale? He's like, yeah, there were no hits in any of the local cities in the greater metropolitan Phoenix area. They were just in the rural areas, and particularly that one in Holbrook. But she does say, so there were no hits on his license plate in Gilbert on October 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. And he says, no, there weren't. So I honestly thought that was a pretty decent line of questioning. I mean, I don't object to it.
Yeah.
Then she starts getting into why Gilbert PD and how Gilbert PD went to the FBI. So she says, you said you reached out to the FBI for some help with some cellular data. How did that happen? And he said, well, we got together with the Chandler PD to talk about that incident that happened on July 11th, 2019. And like, she's about to open the door. Don't, like, I hope she does. Like, she has come so close to opening that door, and Judge Boreski and Trina K both have been like, don't do it. Don't open that door. Like,
right.
And all of us on the other side are like, yes, open the door. The jury know about your 4 murder convictions. Let the jury know about that. Yeah. But I digress. So they went, so he says we got with Chandler PD and we all went to the FBI together and we talked about how they could help us. And so she knows she's already like connected. She jumps from A to C. Like there's A to B to C and she goes A to C and she automatically immediately starts talking about the Nick Balance report. Like, so Nick Balance is the FBI agent who created this report. So she doesn't lay the foundation for it. She doesn't try to enter it in as evidence.
Right.
She just starts asking him about it. And judge says, you have to phrase it in a certain way. So she says, and he actually, I think, tells her how to phrase it. Are you familiar with this report? Or do you recognize this report? Something like that. So Detective Pillar says, yes, I'm familiar with it. I've seen this page. I don't know that I've seen this this entire document compiled the way that it's compiled, but I'm familiar with this page. And let's see. Let me catch up with my notes. Yeah, they want to talk about one of the pages in Nick Balance's report, which is funny because she's the one that brings up Nick Balance first. Like Trina K hasn't, he is Trina K's witness, and Trina K hasn't even like introduced him, like set a foundation for him yet. So Lori is almost like setting the foundation for Nick Balance before Trina K does. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, she did say was that turned over to the defense? And Pillar said, as far as I know, yes. So is she intimating that she didn't get this report of Mr. Balance?
Right.
Or did she actually get it and she's just throwing that out there because she wants the jury to think, oh, whoa, they're withholding evidence, you know?
Well, she has to have it because she presented it to him to look at.
Right. So why did she say were those turned over to the defense?
Yeah. No idea.
And she always says things like that, like so accusatory. She's always like half of the time, like when she thinks she's onto something, she's always like, and were those turned over to the defense? You know, instead of, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it just seems like she's just.
If I were him, I would have been like, well, how did you get your hands on it?
Yeah. What are you holding in your hand then? Right.
Oh my goodness. So she's trying to get him to talk about one of the specific pages in this report, and we still don't know what that page is, but we know it has to do with the purchase of the track phone at the Walmart in Rexburg or outside of Rexburg on September 25th, 2019. We know it has to do with that, but we don't know beyond that what this page in this report has to do with.
Yeah.
Because Trina K objects to it, and the judge tries to tell her how to ask her question, and she just drops it. She's just like, I don't know what you're saying, Judge. I don't know how I need to rephrase this. So she abandons it, like she gives up on it. And I'm like, there's another lost opportunity for someone defending themselves to, and the judge is literally walking you through it, and you just won't do it. You can't land the plane. She can't land the plane so many times.
Yeah.
Then, so she gives up on that. She goes into the line of questioning about Brandon's PI, Rich Robertson. So Rich Robertson, after he was shot at, Brandon hired a PI to be like, what the heck is going on? Like, I think that I know what's going on, kind of, but I need a PI to, like, you know, help me out in this and keep me and my kids safe. And we're going to go hide out for a while, and you keep an eye on the other crazy people that are like trying to unalive me. I think that's what he hired him for. We don't know for sure what he hired Rich Robertson for, but I would guess it has something to do with along those lines. Like, you keep an eye on all those crazy people, and we'll go stay in a motel in the middle of nowhere for a little while. Then I'll drop my kids off at my parents' house, and then Melanie Pulowski shows up, and she's like, I have an order from a judge in Arizona. We watched that, right?
Right. So I have this, it was objected to, but it may open the door. So this was that point in time where bringing in that, I guess, was going to open up the door to, does that jive with what you remember?
Say that one more time.
So did you know about Brandon hiring Rich Robinson, Black Crowes reference, to track Melanie? That was objected to, and then there was an objection. It may open the door.
Oh yeah, I did hear that under the breath of somebody in there. I don't know if it was the judge or if it was Trina K, but yeah, one of them was like, that may open the door. Yes, I heard that. I remember that.
Yeah, it must have been I'm thinking it was Boreski.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I do. That's what I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
He's always helping her out.
Yep. Yeah. Well, he wants to make sure there's nothing, appealable, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. He's protecting the appellate issues.
Yeah.
Because we just saw a document drop in her Idaho case, a 64-page document on appeal. And the first 5-6 pages of that are so disgusting, especially considering today's date. She talks about, or her team of appellate lawyers talk about JJ and Tylee a lot, and like they say things about JJ and Tylee. I want to do the whole Will Smith thing, and I know the Will Smith thing was inappropriate, but I want to keep their names out your mouth. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I can't help myself. I know reporters are supposed to be objective, but I can't be about this case. I can't be about JJ and Tylee.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard.
So she wants to go into Rich Robertson. Apparently, Pillar says that they had one phone call between the private investigator and Detective Pillar, and that's all he said. They didn't talk about what it was, but he said he had to be careful because there is a fine line between investigative work and between investigating a criminal case, which Detective Pillar was doing, and the PI was not doing that. At what his job wasn't about a criminal case. So he just said we got to be careful with that. We only talked one time on the phone, and that was it. And then Lori wraps up with her usual questions. Oh, she tries a couple of things that have to do with hearsay with this PI. Doesn't get anywhere. They're objected to and sustained. And then she's like, how long were you on the scene? Who gets your work number? He says, I share my work number with everybody. I share my work number with suspects, with victims, with family members. I share my work number with everybody. That's my work number. Everybody gets it. So he's trying to cast aspersions on the fact that he shared his work number with Brandon, and no dice. Nope.
Yep.
And then she goes a little bit into the chain of custody on the phone because he did take Brandon's phone that day and got it back to him pretty quickly. She tries to make it like chain of custody of a suspect's phone. And he's like, no, Brandon gave us permission to take everything out. We didn't need to do the whole evidence thing. I mean, initially he did, but in the end, he's just like, we extracted it and we gave it back.
Yeah.
Because it was a voluntary submission and he was not a suspect. So don't handle it like that.
Right.
And then that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah. Other than tomorrow showing up at 10:15, but he wants them to show up a little bit after 10. So 10:15 start for you tomorrow. There was one point where she was asking somebody, what clothes were you wearing? Or what? Oh, I think was it Lachik? Where she was asking what clothes was she wearing?
She asked Pillar what clothes Tammy Lachik was wearing that day when they traveled up to Rexburg and back. Yeah. And he's like, I don't remember. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right. Because I think she was saying, can gunshot residue be transferred from hands to clothes? So.
Oh, okay.
I guess. I mean, I'm trying to translate.
I don't remember what clothes I wore yesterday. I mean, I know what underwear I wore yesterday because it's in the dirty clothes. But
all right, we can just stop there.
Dizzy's going to cut that out. Dizzy is totally going to cut that out. Oh goodness.
Yeah. Do you want to get to some questions before we?
Oh yeah. Holy cow! We have 25 starred questions. Goodness gracious. Nice new member.
All right, Sheila.
Very nice. Nina Canadian. Which long sidebar? Trying to think of long sidebar.
Was it the first one, the 45-minute one or so? Remember?
Or
to start the day?
She didn't look emotional to start the day. She did look emotional after the one where the judge. No, she looked the most emotional after the judge denied her a sidebar. That was the most emotional she was.
We saw that one earlier.
Right. Green enchilada, green chili chicken. We could go a lot of directions with that. Cause of the delay, the clearing out of. Yes. Yeah. The courtroom is cleared out for 45 minutes ish. And we don't know the cause of it. So the cause of the delay was the clearing out, but we don't know the cause of the clearing out.
Right. Although the sheriff there was a representative from the jail that you said you may have heard something, may have been medical, may have been Lori, may have been, because she was pretty phlegmy. She coughed a couple times, and there was a few that were like, but then there were a few that were like you could hear it in her chest, throat. So
Sinbad, green-haired green-haired girls in the gallery. That's funny you asked that, because in the afternoon session after the mid-afternoon break, there were 2 girls with multicolored hair sitting directly in front of me in the media row. So I don't know who they are. No, I don't know. But I did notice them because they have very brightly colored hair that was not naturally colored. One was green haired, and I think one was like, I think I remember like pink rainbowish hair sitting next to her. And they were wearing like yellow shirts with like some glitter type of stuff on it, or some, yeah, I don't know. But I have no idea who they were. And I don't know how you know that they were in the gallery. How do you know that, Sinbad? Divulge your secrets. I must know. Pammy, oh.
Thank you, Pammy.
So generous of you. Thank you.
We love our straddling Pammy.
Right? Oh, she did both. Look at that.
Yep.
She straddled both.
Thank you, Pammy.
And then a $4.99 super sticker from Puzzle Pieces.
Thank you.
Good to see you in here tonight, Puzzle Pieces. What does Lori say? You know what? I would love to do an interview with Pam Hicks. That would be like, for me, that would be better than doing an interview with Lori, for real. Like, I would love to interview Pam Hicks. And there have been a couple times where I have cleared out a pathway. So where the defense team meets in their room is right next to where we all sit in waiting in the media and the public. Like, it's right next to it. So she has to walk through the media and the public at times to get to her room off in the corner for the defense team. And there have been a couple times when the public has been like blocking her way, and I've been like, hey, people, can we get out of the way for her? And then the other day there was a sign that was in the way, the sign that says, you know, public for Lori Daybell starts right here. And it was a big plastic sign, and it was blocking her way. So I picked that sign up out of the way and I moved it out of the way. And she's like, you're my path clearer. And I'm like, that's right. One is glad to be of service. But I would love to do an interview with her after this is all over. I really would. That's got to be more fascinating than anything Lori has to say.
Yeah.
Friday, I say we have a verdict by Friday the 13th. That's my speculation.
We've gone through 14. I hear you, and I would agree. We've gone through 14 witnesses, and you say the witness list is about 22 or so?
Yep.
Yep. So 3 days, more than halfway.
And we know we're not getting a defense.
So yeah, no defense. And I would say the star witness clearly is Brandon, and he's been there, gone. Pillar is probably another big one. Like, who else can they call?
Nick Balance.
Oh, right. Yes.
He's got to come up.
The cell phone data folks. That's him, right? Is that Nick is the cell phone? Yeah. That's going to ping Alex, right? We'll probably find out where he was, and when he was.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that burner phone.
Yeah.
And that Gmail account. Homer, what was that Gmail account? Oh, shoot. I didn't write it.
Maximus. Homer G. Maximus or something.
Homer J. Maximus.
Homer J. Maximus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, but not curses you to Alex for coming up with or using it. Not coming up with it, but using it.
With Colby going there, how early do you have to get there today or tomorrow? 3:30 a.m. Why don't you go camp on the courthouse steps at 3:30?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Seriously, when are you going to get there?
So I am blessed with this trial to be included in the media, so I don't have to worry about how early I get there, because Lauren and Grayson from Hidden True Crime get there at like 7:15. They have a special media access store. And if I talk to Vincent, the PIO, I could get it too. I don't need it because I can be third. So I'll be third in the media line every single day.
Mhm.
The public is different. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. The picture that I took. So if you look at my Twitter account, and I always get the underscore wrong. Why did I set it up like that?
JS_media.
There you
88.
go.
Yep.
JS_media 88 on Twitter. Look at the picture that I took this morning. That was about 6:15, and that was probably about a dozen or so public members. So 45 to 50, round down to 45 public members get in. So, I mean, just base it on that. Base it on the picture on my Twitter account.
Gotcha.
I don't think that Colby is going to draw any more people than Lori's circus that she did on Friday. Like Lori's circus that she did on Friday is directly responsible for there being a huge crowd in the morning session and 10 to 12 people getting turned away. I don't think that Colby's draw is going to be any more than that. It may be the same, but it's not going to be any more. So my picture is 6:15, 6:30. You know, base your decision on that.
Mm-hmm. We still need to see the storage.
Yep. Yeah, we do.
Still need to see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not sure who's going to bring that in. Hermosillo? Do you think is he on the list? Is Hermosillo
Yes.
on the list? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
maybe he will. Maybe he will.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember seeing a picture of that, Carolina. I don't remember. I don't think I remember seeing that. Yes. Now the jury does know. That came out today in Detective Pillar's testimony. He said he found the insurance and registration to both Charles and Lori.
Yep.
It is illegal. Like they will give you a citation. If you ever watch Fridays with Frank, so Deputy Frank Slope is a Pima County Sheriff's deputy, and he's gone viral with his videos that he does. But one of the things that will draw him to pull you over is dark tinting, especially on your driver's side window and or your windshield. And he has one of those meters that Danny Moss talked about today, where they pull you over if it's too dark, and they'll be like, you got 30%. Oh my gosh, you only have 5% coming through. So, yep, it is illegal, and you will get cited, and you will have to take your car to somebody who can undo it. But you have to get pulled over and you have to get caught for it to be illegal.
You just have to be 5 miles faster.
Right. I-40 in Holbrook was only westbound towards Phoenix.
Right.
They did not catch him going the other way, as far as I know. It was just that one picture, that one time, like 26 hours before the incident.
And I'm pretty sure Trina said in her opening that he took the back roads home.
Right.
Meaning Alex took
took
the back roads.
He Googled
yeah,
the
that's
back
right.
roads.
He
Yeah.
Googled, yep.
All right. You got some member stuff going on here. Kenneth White.
Yeah, Kenneth. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kenneth.
5 and then 5 and then 5 and then 5.
Yeah, Kenneth was
gosh.
extremely generous. Thank you
You're
so
gonna
much.
make me math, Kenneth. You're going to make me math.
I
Don't
think it
make me
was
math.
7.
What is
I think it
7
was
times
7.
5? Is that like 35? Something like
35.
that.
That is, yeah. So thank you, Kenneth. Very generous of you. Thank you so much. So there's Holbrook. Okay, I'm actually checking the map out. So Holbrook. And there's Gallup. Sorry. I'm not
No.
familiar with that part of the country, so I just wanted to see exactly. Now I just found I-40 in Holbrook.
Right. Did you want to look at it? You want to present it?
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, not really. I guess. Not really. Sorry, not really. Just for my own reference.
Right. Yes. We looked at it Saturday morning with Salty. We took a
Okay.
good deep dive into that. And then
Yeah.
I think, no, actually, I think we did last night on Kresh's channel too.
There you go. So if you want to see I-40, go watch Joe's show.
Go.
Oh, let's see. Oh, Justice Obsessed is going.
Justice Obsessed. Justice Obsessed, come look me up wherever you are. I don't know what I'll be wearing yet, but it won't be what I'm wearing today because that's already old news. Do I have any tips on getting in the courtroom? So if you get in line early in the morning, so sometime between 6 and 6:30, you will most likely have a spot to get in court unless other people are listening to this and they beat you to it. And then you just follow the crowd. So you go in the courtroom or in the courthouse, the doors open promptly at 7:30 a.m. and not a second before. And then you go through the security line, and then you go all the way to the left to the elevators, up the elevators to the 5th floor, then follow the signs to 5D. We are in courtroom 5D, but outside of courtroom 5D, there are 4 rows of chairs. The front 2 rows of chairs are for media. The back 2 rows of chairs are for the public. So you start filling in those back 2 rows. And you try and get the best spot you can in those back 2 rows. And if you don't get in those 2 rows, there are 3 rows of standing room only access to the courtroom. So try and get in one of those chairs because that's 7:30 to 10:15. We'll start going in the courtroom at 10 o'clock because it's starting at 10:15. So that's 2.5 hours of sitting or standing on the hard tile if you don't get one of the chairs.
Mm-hmm. Now, he said that he wants them there a little bit after 10. Does that mean you guys are allowed in at 10 or do you have to wait? Is that like...
That's a good question. So they have been proactive in seating the media and the public beforehand, like well beforehand, like 10 to 15 minutes beforehand. So I would guess we probably will actually get in there like a little bit after 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just something to be aware of.
Right. Yep.
Thank you, Hellcat.
Hellcat. Awesome. Appreciate your support always, Hellcat. It's always good to see you in chat too. And Pacers and Thunder are 1-1 now. So I think we're going back to Indiana. I think we get that series heading back to
should be 2 and then 1-1-1.
Right.
It's 2-2 and then 1-1-1.
Let's see what goes down in game 3. I mean,
good series. Good series. 2 great basketball teams.
Well, I love to see a competitive series. I hate it when one team just dominates the other one.
You always want it to go game 7. Always want a game 7. Yep. Those are always the most fun.
100%. So that's what I've got. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. Yep. Just kind of looking around. Yeah, no, I think we're good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
So, yeah, with that, 11:45, we're actually ending early today. It's not
nice.
It's not noon. It's not midnight. Listen to me. It's not noon. It's not midnight. I think Thursday and Friday we did midnight and afterwards. But yeah, no, this is good. So so we still have what about 8 more to go? 8 more witnesses to go. 2 more days. Yeah, it'll probably take her a day and a half to maybe 2 days, meaning Trina K to get through those 8 witnesses.
Right.
And then Lori's not going to present a defense. So Wednesday, state rests, closing arguments on Thursday, verdict on Friday. I can see that happening.
I can, and that would be amazing.
Yep.
So
Right.
thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Thank you,
Yep.
Squeegee, for jumping up here with me and
Oh, no problem.
talking through this.
And just one more reminder. Tylee and JJ, just one more reminder. Keep them in your hearts. I know they are, but especially today.
Yeah, especially today.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. With that, thank you guys. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Hellcat. Thank you to everybody that gave their support, both eyeballs and financially. You know, we appreciate you all. We appreciate Dizzy. Fantastic job modding. Forrest, I know you were modding as well. Erin, you know, she does a lot on the back end. We're just the pretty faces. They're the ones that actually do all the work.
Yeah, such a pretty face.
So, yeah, with that, you know, thank you, Joe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. We'll catch everybody tomorrow.
Okay. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Oh, we can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet.